Travis Haley, sir, thanks for joining me today, man. I appreciate you. Welcome to the show. I've been looking forward to this. I know the last time I saw you was in Arizona, I think in the spring of 2024. Came down to Phoenix to do some other YouTube stuff with our mutual friend, Administrative Results, and then I had a little bit of time, so I came by and wanted to check out the facilities, and so I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to come sit down with me. For those of you that don't know, me and Travis here are here for to celebrate a Marine Corps birthday, the 250th Marine Corps birthday at a Marine Corps ball here in Idaho, and schedules just lined up. It was kind of perfect. So I was like, well, hell, let's do a podcast while we're here, man. Take advantage of the opportunity where we can sit down and it also give me the chance to get to know a little bit more about your story, because I know you've done a ton of podcasts. You have your own podcast. And a lot of people probably know a lot more about you than I do, but I'm so busy. I don't have time to like watch everyone else's podcast. So I wanted to take this opportunity to kind of get to know a little bit more about your story, because you've had a pretty interesting life, pretty unique life, I would say, for your average American has probably not had nearly the same level of experience, and especially in like geopolitics, warfare, combat, world travel, all kinds of stuff compared to you. So I know just a brief tidbit. I know you were a prior reconnaissance Marine in the Marine Corps for a while. You got out, you did some contracting work. You worked for the agency for a little while, and then also did some stuff with Blackwater, and now you have your own company that you founded called Haley Strategic, and you guys are very successful. Obviously, it came down to the facility. It's a huge place. You guys are crushing it. I know a ton of Marines that wear your gear all the time because it's good gear. You know, it's good equipment. It's super effective, and there's a reason why so many guys in the infantry go to Haley Strategic for their gear. So. Obviously, you guys have been crushing it. So either way, I appreciate you coming here today and taking a second to chat with me.
No, I appreciate you having me, man. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah. So I want to kind of start off, did you start off in like your life in Arizona, or did you grow up somewhere else?
No, I'm a Florida boy, man. I grew up in northern Florida.
Okay.
You know, swampy pine, crystal clear, beautiful rivers, and just grew up in the water and the woods, running around on farms. And
farms? In the Panhandle? Or?
Oh, it's huge. Yeah. It's northern Florida is really known for its horse country.
No kidding.
Between Scottsdale, Arizona, where I'm at now, and Ocala, Florida is kind of the big horse breeding grounds. But I didn't have any of that growing up. We just had about a 15-acre farm, I think, in northern Florida. Most of it's farmland up there, lakes and rivers and swamps. And I started as mom and dad. We grew up in St. Petersburg, Florida, until about third grade. Then we moved up to the sticks, and just to get up in the swamps and have that kind of life, which is way better than the city, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I agree.
And it turned very. I mean, it's awesome for me because I love being out in the bush, and like my first job was, when I was hunting with my dad up in the Panhandle, I'd always go out and find diamondback rattlesnakes and bring them back. Like, Dad, look what I found. I just reach out and catch them. And
you just reach out and grab them by the tail?
Yeah, I'm a Florida boy. That's what you do, man.
There's a lot of kids out there in Florida doing that stuff with alligators and boa constrictors and all that stuff.
Alligators was my other one. We jump in right on top of alligators and have fun with them, and you'd swim with them, and
they taste pretty damn good too, honestly.
I don't mind it. Yeah, it's like water.
It's like fried chicken.
Yeah, except it's like. Well, maybe I shouldn't say this. The next time you have it, it's like watered down chicken.
Yeah, it's kind of like watered down chicken. It tastes good though. It's good white meat, which strangely enough, I wouldn't expect an alligator to have white meat.
No, me either. But yeah, I started doing that, and then guys were like, "Hey, I'll buy those rattlesnakes off you." And then I started working for like belt and boot makers. And I go out and find rattlesnakes as my first job. And then my dad, once he got out of the Air Force, he went into the power line industry and was one of the most senior guys down in Florida Power. And so I grew up with him in bucket trucks and swinging from trees and hooking and into trees.
Swinging from trees like a damn orangutan.
Well, he was one of the pole climbers, the competitions where they do the pole.
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
Go at the top and they drop down. So I used to watch him do that. And
that's cool.
And so I was always in and out of trees and making crazy I had an obstacle course on our farm that was twice the size of the Marine Corps confidence course.
Really?
Yeah.
That you built?
That I built from scratch. Yeah, with Highline bucket trucks and telephone poles and the whole 9 yards.
Damn.
And I used to kind of steal my dad's supplies off the farm to build all this. And he started noticing it, and he's like, all right, I'll help you out. So I had like a 52-foot tree fort on the top of a giant pine tree on top of a hill, had a 300-meter long zip line coming out of it.
Oh, that's sick.
Had fast ropes because my dad was a pilot, and he used to work with Colonel John Matthews. I think he was the guy that invented the fast rope.
Yeah.
And so we went out to the airport, and he's like, hey, put a fast rope in the tree. So yeah, it was that kind of upbringing. It was a lot of fun. If I wasn't in the trees, I was hog hunting, deer hunting, just four-wheelers. And probably ever since I was about 9 years old, I wanted to join the military.
Since you were 9?
Yeah. I grew up listening to my father's stories. He was like tailing Korea and then the Lebanon conflict.
Okay.
And my grandfather was First Wave Invasion Normandy Beach. And it's kind of a funny story about him really quick. He got injured, went back to to England, did the recovery programs, went back to New York, got his orders for a second tour back to Europe Command, and then got on the wrong train. And so back then you couldn't just text anybody.
Yeah.
Turns out he was on a train with a bunch of Marines headed to Camp Pendleton. So they retasked him to Camp Pendleton, and then he deployed. It was in the first wave invasion Iwo Jima. And then 3 months later, when the ARG moved up north, he went into Okinawa. So he's the only service member in history to be in both theaters in all three major campaigns besides some of the code talkers. And all his stories and flags are down in the World War II Museum. So I grew up on all these blood-soaked horror stories of World War II. And I'm like, that's what I'm going to do.
Your grandfather was a Marine?
No, he was in Navy.
He was a
Navy signalman, and his boat got whacked by machine gun fire. Transmission blew up, and all the guys are jumping overboard.
In Normandy?
In Normandy. He couldn't swim because he goes to jump over, and he sees one of the Army guys drowning, and he's like, fuck that. So he reaches down and grabs a Thompson machine gun. Staff sergeant's like, let's go. And they ran and stormed the beach, and so as
a sailor, he stormed Normandy.
Sailor, they told him, because it was just chaos in the first wave. So
yeah.
And so he spent the rest of the time on the beach there, and once they settled, they got him out, and then boom, right to the Pacific.
That's wild.
That's pretty cool.
I don't think I know anybody or have heard any stories of somebody fighting on Normandy and then also going to Iwo Jima and Okinawa, which, I mean, obviously Iwo Jima is like one of the most like renowned battles of the Pacific during World War II. That's where we raised the flag up there. That's the iconic U.S. Iwo Jima flag raising. But then on top of that, the Battle of Okinawa was actually the bloodiest battle in the Pacific of the whole campaign. And to go to both of those and also go to the worst battle you could have possibly gone to in Europe, that's nuts.
Yeah. Then a kamikaze came in and hit his boat in Iwo Jima, or was it Okinawa? I'm not sure. I can't remember now. So then he spent the rest of the time on the beaches until the Navy reorganized and he could get back out. So
Jesus,
yeah, cool stories. And he turned into a writer and photographer.
Really?
Yeah, he worked for the St. Pete Times for like 40 something years. And
damn. Did he tell these stories to your dad, like when he was growing up? Or?
He would tell us because we would ask. And,
okay.
So I'm sure he did share with Dad. But yeah, it was an amazing upbringing listening to that stuff. And I think I wonder, thinking back, if they told me a lot of those horror stories to try to prevent me from doing it.
Yeah.
But it's in your blood, I think.
You're kind of fated to become a Marine pretty much after that.
Yeah.
Or someone in the naval service, you know.
Well, what's funny is I asked my dad, my mom, I'd sit down and say, hey, where's our family from? And they're like, well, we think we're from like Germany or somewhere in that area, England, Germany. And I'm like, okay, Haley's an English, Irish type name.
Yeah.
So after my great grandfather, nobody knew where we were from. And so I started doing research about probably 10 or 12 years ago on my family and found military documentation all the way back, almost every Haley, and even on my mom's side, hell, even the mother of my kids, she served in the Navy. She was a dermatologist, and all the way back. So I'm 8th generation gunfire to the American Revolution, as far back as I can find military documentation.
Wow.
Matter of fact, my 7th and 8th generation grandfather, James Haley, was 33 years old. He was in the 11th Virginia Infantry. He comes home in 1775 to Dad, William Haley, and says, hey, you got to come out of retirement, get off the farm, it's time to fight. So he served as a private under his son, who was a sergeant in the 11th Virginia Infantry.
That's wild. And how'd you dig all that stuff up?
Starting through some of the, the freaking what's that? The
National Archives?
Ancestry.com.
Oh, Ancestry.com.
And then I started leading into like military. So I'd just go outside and start looking into documentation, and I've got all the documents and stuff. It's pretty cool. And so I go back to my dad. I'm like, Dad, we're not from freaking Germany. I don't even know where we come from because I can't find a Haley previous to like 1660 or something like that in America. So I guess I'm American.
Yeah, I'd say so. My family came over here. So it's kind of weird. So it's like there's like 3 splits. So my mom's side of the family didn't come over here until they were fleeing the Russians because they were like a German aristocracy, like a German aristocratic family, and a lot of them served in the German military during World War II and I. But they fled Germany to America after the Russians were coming in because everybody was like hearing all the horror stories of what the Russians were doing to German citizens. So they left. But aside from that, like my dad's family, there's two branches to it. One branch came from Massachusetts and they had been here since like the 1600s. And so they were here for the Revolution. And they were all over like the Northeast, like Philadelphia, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Maine. And then the other side, who was my grandfather's side, they left Scotland like during the potato famine era, and they came to the United States in like the 1800s. So it's kind of like a mixture. Some of them were here for a very long time. Some of them came here like, about halfway through, the American lifespan, and the others came within the past century. And so it's just, or the past century and a half, I guess, really. So kind of an interesting mix. But we have, my great grandfather fought in World War I in the Army. He was a doughboy in the Army, in like fighting in the trenches. My grandfather was an ensign in the Navy in World War II. He was on the USS Mobile in the Pacific, and he was also on merchant marine vessels going back and forth across the Atlantic taking supplies. And then my grandmother, who he married, was a master sergeant in the Marine Corps during World War II, and she actually ran at the end of her career, she was like in charge of the commissary at Cherry Point and was like a women's tennis champion. So, but she chain smoked cigarettes, surprisingly, and drank like a fish. So kind of an interesting mix, but I guess it kind of makes sense.
So she lived a long life then?
No, she did not. Actually, tragically, she, funny enough, she actually passed away swimming because she was on vacation in Grenada with my grandfather. And I think like the 60s, I want to say it was like the late 60s. And, or no, I can't remember exactly. It was like late 60s, early 70s, and they were on vacation in Grenada. She died because she drowned while having a heart attack in Grenada. I think my dad was like 18 years old or something like that. But so I never met her, but there's lots of pictures of her in uniform and all this kind of stuff. She was a very tough lady, apparently. Pretty, I mean, as you can imagine, back then growing up during the Great Depression and serving in World War II as a woman in the Marine Corps, probably a very tough time to be a woman in the Marine Corps,
Imagine.
But so got some people that served, and then of course both me and my brothers, all 3 of us served. I don't know much further past that, though. I'd love to do some digging and like see if anybody fought in like the Revolution or the Civil War. I'm sure somebody back there, because practically everybody fought, that was an able-bodied American during
There wasn't that many Americans back then.
Yeah. So it's like, if you can fight, you had to,
There's only like 140 or 150,000 people total fought in the Revolution.
Really?
That was it. Yeah,
that were like back. Americans fighting for the
that
America?
actually signed up and went and actually fought in there. So people can't understand those numbers. Like when you talk about today, we're at millions, in force strength.
It's hard to, and it's hard to like envision, because we're so used to having such a large, like giant military, compared.
Well, that's why I think, a lot of people say, well, war must have been so chaotic back then. Yeah. And I think if we look back to our forefathers' stories, it's some of it, when you read the history of just the Marine Corps alone, let alone the rest of the history, it's a lot of it's unfathomable.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if they could look down at us today and say, wow, we can't fathom what you guys are dealing with. Because it's just a new face of war. War is war, man. I don't care where you are.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather not be running down a trench with a bayonet, but I also don't like drones either. So like we're double fucked both ways.
Yeah, that's one of the things I think that most people have found appear to be the most terrifying. Like seeing these videos of these dudes in trench lines in Ukraine, that are being attacked by drones every day, I mean, I saw a video the other day. I was just talking about it on a podcast we did yesterday with Cody, where we were talking about like there was some Russian boats, like riverine vessels that were like cruising through the Dnipro River over near Kherson in east. Well, it's like central Ukraine, kind of near that large area. I forget the name of it right off the top of my head, but anyway, you're on a boat and you're getting like they didn't have any like advanced drone jammers on the boat because they're so expensive. It's like a waste of money giving it to a boat, because if you're on a boat, you're completely exposed. You don't have any concealment, so the likelihood you're going to get targeted is very high. So they don't want to waste that money on a jammer on something that's not got any concealment. They're just saving that for like the high dollar value stuff. And so basically, instead of having jammers, they're like, well, we're just going to give you a bunch of inexpensive shotguns to protect yourself on this boat from drones, and you're just going to have to shoot them out of the air like you're skeet shooting. And so you see in these Russians shooting drones out of the sky like the whole way they're cruising. And I'm sure there's tons of footage of that from the Ukrainian perspective as well, because they're doing the same exact thing. It's being seen on both sides. It's just really weird that it's all being so documented, so well documented from video footage. This has been the greatest intelligence gathering operation probably in the history of mankind.
And research and development.
I mean, it's like, compared to every war in our past, there has been more intel gathered from this on just how war can be conducted today, whether it be just Russian tactics or just, like the current benefits that certain technological advancements have provided troops on the front line. It's pretty bananas, actually. And you guys even have come up with a bunch of stuff in relation to that, that you've been developing. A bunch of other tech companies have been doing the same thing. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, I built a specific R&D plant just to do R&D, which I don't know if you saw that part of the business when you were there, but just so we can go into action super fast. And we can, like even our Carl Gustav packs and stuff that we do for the Marine Corps now, that's 30 days. In doing a firing position with the gunners in Quantico, working with the Marines, and then 30 days later we got a system out there, and then within a year we outfitted the entire Marine Corps, every gun team,
which is huge because
we wouldn't have been able to do that before that. So that did motivate me, and I know the proxy wars are obviously always going to be controversial, politically speaking, because I don't want anything to do with that war, right? But when you look at the future and what it gives us, which is one of our principles, right, to commit. Besides just honor and courage, commitment doesn't just mean commit. It means see the forest. It means see from the eagle's eye perspective. Yeah. So you can start to see, like, we need to know this because that technology is going to be used coming up here very soon. We're not getting away from it.
Yeah, it's definitely, that's for sure, because people see how effective it's been, and they're like, we're going to start using that. I mean, they've been using it for probably a better part of a decade at this point already, as far as drone warfare is concerned. But it's only getting more and more and more, and they're finding ways to develop them and produce them faster and faster and more rapidly, and they're just basically flooding the Ukrainian airspace, like the Russians are flooding the Ukrainian airspace with these relatively inexpensive one-way, loitering munitions or drones or whatever, and they can just overwhelm their anti-air capabilities really quickly, and then they can be conducting strikes with manned aircraft and other things like that. And so we're seeing that, and we're like, well, we need to catch the hell up. Chinese are seeing that, doing the same thing. Iran's doing the same thing. Every one of these countries, they're all doing the same thing. They're like, well, we got to get pull our head out of our ass and figure out a way to manufacture drones at a rapid rate.
You can't deny it. And there's still a lot of people that deny that world, or even like AI. And it's like, look, if you deny it, it's going to be the new thing, whether you like it or not. So you might want to study it and understand it, maybe even use it. And that way you may have an opportunity to combat against the evil that's going to do what with it. Yeah. So that's the way I think about it. And so I try to build those systems in place so we can try to stay a step ahead the best we can. Yeah,
that's really the best. And I saw somebody, I forget who his name is, the guy that's the CEO. I think it was either the CEO of Palantir or the CEO of Oracle. One of the two said, like, regardless of what happens with the way the AI is developing, America needs to be the one that develops the AI that ends up like kind of running the world, because if we don't, the Chinese are going to do it. And there's going to be more freedom involved in this if America ends up having the most powerful AI and not China.
That's a good way to think it. I think a lot of people will combat that concept, but it's like, you also have to realize out of I like to call it the whole. I mean, you'll hear me talk about it a little bit tonight in my speech. Yeah. There's 8 billion people in the world. That's a lot of people.
God, it's so crazy how fast.
And there's only 340 million people in this country. That's only 4.5%. of the world's population that have something extremely unique and rare, a republic freedom. And regardless of what people think about it, it's the last free stand on earth.
Yeah, I definitely feel that way too.
I agree with you 100% that if that 4.5% that knows what a true sense of duty, a sense of justice, a sense of honor, et cetera, is, then you might want to trust that 4.5%, whether you don't or not, government, politically speaking right now.
Sure.
You have to, because there's no other country in the world that has what we have. And so I think that would be smart for us to lead that charge. Yeah.
I mean, we're not the ones that are arresting people for social media posts.
Exactly.
Right now. Yeah. Funny enough, I actually read
now.
Yeah, right now. Yeah. That doesn't mean that it could always be that way. You get the wrong person up there, maybe they might start doing that. I know I saw a recent poll, or not a poll, but like some statistical information where they're like trying to figure out what the top 10 countries were that arrest the most people for social media posts. And I think the UK has arrested more people than both Belarus and Russia combined. That's UK,
crazy.
Supposed to be a free nation.
They're not free. They haven't been free.
It's crazy. And I have so many buddies, I'm sure you do too, have served in the Royal Marine Corps, the Royal Army, and all this stuff. They're going through some real tough times right now, man. And in addition to that, they've got tons of other like geopolitical stuff going on. But
I'm glad they're standing up. I mean, hopefully they can do it. But
I hope so too, man.
Yeah.
Because it's like, dude, they're one of the other English-speaking nations. They're like, we are probably as close as you're going to get as far as like international relationships are concerned. Like the United States and the United Kingdom, and then Canada, Australia, all of us are like as close as you can get because we all speak the same language. We all have very similar roots. The United States started from people that came here from England. So.
Yeah. Well, we came here to get away from kings, queens, and popes. And so now it's following us. And now you just mentioned all those countries from the UK to Canada to Australia. Okay, what do they have or what do we have that they don't? Yeah. Right. Well, we still have a Second Amendment for obvious reasons,
and a First Amendment.
It's okay. It's like I love that old joke. Well, hey, what's like the old meme for the Constitution when they're working out all the amendments, and it's like, well, we should be able to say whatever we want. It's like, well, okay, that's cool. All right, what do we do next? We might want to get a gun to be able to protect ourselves when we start saying whatever the hell we want.
Yeah, because you can't have the First Amendment without the Second. Yeah, that's one of the reasons it scares the hell out of me seeing what Canada's doing with the gun buyback, where they're forcing everybody to like, hey, if your gun has this has this capacity or something, it needs to stay locked in your safe, and if it's not locked in your safe, you're automatically going to be arrested for it. And also here, we're going to give you the opportunity to sell it.
Even 10 years ago or plus 10 years ago, when I'd go up to Canada and work with a lot of those guys, and we'd say, hey, let's go shooting. Like, well, we can't. And so if they had to go find a range, they had to contact law enforcement and let them know they're going to a shooting range. Then they had to have a license and all this crazy stuff. Yeah. And then they had to have everything separate in the vehicle. And then they'd have to call when they got to the range or something like that. And then they could shoot and then to call to go back home. It's like, that's not freedom.
No, that's not freedom at all.
And a lot of people ask me that, well, when I get in conflict conversations about the Second Amendment, I go, you know what, let's just go with your hypothesis here of the world will be a safer place if everybody turned in their guns. Okay, let's go with that. Let's say that we did turn in every single gun in America, and literally we woke up the next morning and the world was literally a safer place. I would say, okay, now let's ask the next question. Is that worth tyranny?
Yeah.
Because that's what happens next.
Yep.
And whether you like it or not, whether you hate guns or not, that's fine. You don't have to like guns. There's plenty enough people that do in our country.
Sure.
But you do have to realize at the end of the day, when you let go of that right, that's what do you do next?
Yeah. So somebody, I don't remember who said this, but somebody said, if the people who are willing to sacrifice freedom for security deserve neither.
Yeah.
Something to that degree, or will end up having neither, because if you're willing to sacrifice the freedoms that you have it's been pretty much proven that you have to be strong and independent, and you shouldn't depend on the federal government for everything. You should be like I think the Constitution and the founders of the country designed it specifically with the intent that, hey, we're going to give the American people who we believe will be well-informed, knowledgeable, strong, hardworking people, the ability to govern themselves, the ability to take care of themselves. The government was intended to be small and just kind of managerial for infrastructure, maybe military, and then, hey, you guys figure it out, and is that harder? Sure, it is harder. That's why most people don't make it like having their own businesses, because it's hard.
It is.
You have to be intrinsically motivated and work your ass off to get there.
It's the hardest thing you'll do.
That's the hardest thing you'll ever do in your life. And there's plenty of people out there that would rather just be institutionalized and like, here, feed me every day, tell me what I need to do, whatever I need to do, and I don't want to have to make decisions and stuff.
Then move to England, move to Canada, move to Australia. That already has that system in place, so you can just have those things.
Yeah, exactly.
But they won't.
No, exactly, because it just doesn't work. It's been proven that like the bigger the government gets and the more like restrictive the laws are on the people for their freedoms, it always ends up backfiring in one way, or it ends up with people being killed for whatever their belief system are. It always ends up happening that way, or persecuted in some way, because if you can't protect yourself from the big guy upstairs or the big guys that are they're gonna have guns. It's just not a good way to run things. And so that's one of the reasons I think that the firearm industry being so huge in America is such a big deal and so important. And also everybody that is a believer in the Second Amendment being so vocal about, shall not be infringed for a specific reason. Because like, this is one of those things there should be no budging on at all. In fact, it should be less restrictive. And then you've got the folks that are like, well, gun violence is the leading killer of all these things. And you see all these mass shootings. It's like, well, in my mind, the only way that you're going to stop that, because now the people out there that are crazies, they see that as an opportunity to cause damage for whatever reason, whether they're nuts, whether they're like unhappy with the way their life turned out, whether they have mental issues. And the only way you can stop that is by making things a hard target. Does that suck, having to make things a hard target, when you've been used to like being able to walk around or have like not having all the security at schools or churches? Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's the reality. You can't change reality. Like, I know some people want to believe this is a perfect world. Everybody can get along, and like, there's not going to be anybody doing these things. But it's like, that's just not the reality of life, man. There's bad people out there. And if you want to prevent bad people from doing bad things, you have to first off, you have to empower good people to do good things. You have to empower them. And then you have to make yourself a hard target. It's like, if you have an entry control point and there's like nobody on post, well, that's a pretty weak target. They're going to blow it up. You know what I mean? Like, the bad guys or whatever is going to target it because it's an easy target.
I mean, you should do it in your home.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's concentric rings of security as what we teach. And, a lot of people think like a home defense is like, I got my gun by my nightstand. I'm like, okay, why would you? So you're saying you would shoot somebody if they ever broke into your house and try to hurt you? Absolutely. And my next question is, why would you want to shoot your own gun inside your own house?
Yeah.
And they go, what do you mean? I'm like, what if you didn't have to do that at all? So be a hard target. What are your concentric rings of security into your house? They go all the way into your yard, sensors, lights, all that stuff, and taking care of yourself and being a harder target. That's exactly how a PSD team or a Secret Service team works around a principle or a package. Is like, those are concentric rings. And the things you don't see, right, those are going away in America. And so now it's just like, well, the government's got to take over. They'll help me out. And if somebody breaks my house, I'll just call 911. Well, just don't forget, you certainly have that privilege and that right to feel and act that way. But when seconds count, cops are only minutes away.
Yeah.
And every good cop's going to tell you, man, like 99 times out of 100, when we show up on a call, our job's to try to figure out what the hell happened, put the pieces together, investigate. Maybe 1% of the time we'll catch a bad guy and act. So they all will tell you, good cops will tell you that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's time for us to start making things happen. And that's hard right now in this transition. And I know a lot of guys look at us, people that may watch us, like, why don't you guys step up and say something? Well, we are. We're talking about it right now. Yeah. Why don't you do something about it? Okay, who do you want me to go kill? Point it out. Yeah. Show it to me. Yeah. But you can't do that.
Yeah.
So sometimes worst case scenario has to happen to wake people up. And that's going back to the unfortunate side of what you're saying. It's like if you compared it to speeding. Well, what if we just took away all traffic laws, all lights, all speed limits? What would happen? You'd have probably hundreds of thousands or millions of people die instantly, but guess what would happen right after that first month? People would all of a sudden become better drivers.
Probably.
And they become more situationally and spatially aware before they pull out into an intersection or speed doing 100 miles per hour down the road. You're always going to have the asshole that does 150 miles per hour. So you still have to police. But that's the problem is police is no longer a polisi, like the Greek word of from the community. It's not that anymore. You are selected out of your community to police it. Yeah. Look what's happening in the Muslim brotherhoods, and not to point out a religion, but look at the police that they're using now with the Muslim community police in Chicago and New York and everything else. Yeah. They're actually policing correctly. People can hate it all they want, but that's what you do with your community. The problem is it's not the way it should be working in this country, right? Because we have a constitution, not Sharia law. Yeah. It's just like the nationalization of Christianity. It's just as dangerous as extremist Islam or extreme Catholicism or Judaism or anything else coming in. So it's all dangerous if you start to mix that stuff, which is why I think we should always have that separation. Yeah.
The separation of church and state, I think, is important. It's like I saw somebody talking about like the government. Somebody in Texas was trying to force them to put the 10 Commandments up on the wall or something like that. And it's like, well, what if somebody was like, I want to put whatever the principles of Islam were on the wall. It's like,
that's not fair.
It's not. It's not
that I'm not a God-fearing man. It's like, no, right. There has to be a specific way in order for us to live and believe.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you have to have some sort of a divorced relationship between religions and educational systems or governmental institutions. And if it's a government school, it's like a public school, public institution, then you got to have that separation there, because ultimately the kids are supposed to be learning, without all of these other like extraneous factors influencing their decision making, which unfortunately we've seen a lot of that with colleges and schools, public schools a lot, especially because there's a lot of folks out there that have been trying to influence young minds to believe one way or another, which I think both ways is not good. You should just be like, here's the information. You as a sovereign, independent thinking human being can make your own decision. I'm just going to present it to you. I'm not going to tell you how to think about it. I think that's super valuable and it's missing. And so that's what I'm hoping will happen with that. But I know it's easy to get super off the rails with me. I'm like, I get super easily distracted. So I want to kind of backtrack a little bit to you. You got done with high school. You were still in Florida when you graduated high school, right? You said you knew you were going to join the Marine Corps when you were 9 years old, probably as a result of like the relationship you had with your father, who's in the Air Force, grandfather, who's in the Navy.
Yeah.
When did you actually
Air Force first?
I
want to be a pilot.
You want to be a pilot first?
Yeah, I grew up flying. My brother and I both grew up flying with my dad.
Okay. You flew with him?
Not when he was a private pilot. When he was out of the Air Force, he immediately started flying, and he flew until he couldn't fly.
What kind of planes?
Everything from Cessnas, Ronica Champs, Air Coops, RV4s, RV6s is what I grew up in. So
okay.
And then to a point where we could solo when we were 16 years old. So
that's cool.
Then of course, I was at my brother's 5 years older than me. He just retired out of the Marine Corps as a colonel.
Just retired?
Yeah, last year, 33 years.
God bless him.
So it's kind of a funny story. We both wanted to be pilots, and then I was at his high school. He's, again, a few years ahead of me, and a Marine walks in blues, a recruiter, and he's got wings and a bubble on. So I'm kind of like, what is that? See this Marine all of a sudden in dress blues, because back then there wasn't like Instagram you could look at.
Yeah.
And of course I know what a Marine is. I've got him in my family, but I just really wanted to fly. I love this guy. And so I see this guy, and my brother's talked to him. My brother's like, well, I think I'm going to be an officer in the Marine Corps. And I said, you should do the same thing. And I'm like, you know what? I don't care about that side, but I care about whatever that is. Like, I was really intrigued. So I asked him, and he told me what those were: the naval parachutist wings and the scuba bubble, and the iconic, symbol of the Force Recon Marine. I'm like, all right, that whatever that is awesome. So I started researching encyclopedias or all the old stuff, the diaries and the books. I go to the bookstores and read the Force Recon diaries and all the stuff that was out back then.
Yeah.
And it just turned a fire on inside of me, man. So I think that was probably around 13 years old is when I was diehard Force Recon Marine until I graduated high school.
Yeah.
Big athlete. I was already a jack of all trades, I guess, like, recon jacks.
Yeah.
And I think I lettered in 7 sports my senior year just to see if I could do it. State champion in hurdles and on track, state champion weightlifter, state champion football team, got a full ride scholarship to a big university in Florida to play as a defensive end. Probably one of the best coaches, Steve Spurrier, and turned it down to earn the title.
Turned it down to earn the title. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty big decision.
Yeah. Not for me, it wasn't.
It was pretty easy to make.
It's just not my path. And my brother, he went Valdosta State University, became a big football hero. And his OSO recruiter started screwing him around. I'm already in boot camp at this point. I'm thinking I'm in boot camp. I think he's going to OCS, but turns out he was getting pushed back like 4 or 5 times.
Really?
So I graduate, honor grad, high shooter, which is, I'm setting the story here.
Yeah.
I'm at my graduation. My brother walks out. I'm like, what the hell are you doing here, man?
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm joining the Marines. I'm like, no shit, but what are you doing here? He's like, I'm enlisting. And I'm like, what the hell happened to and now my DI is standing right here. And he's looking over and he's like, oh, you're coming to Paris Island? And he's like, yes, I am, Staff Sergeant. And he's like, okay. He goes, and you see him kind of look down at his clock or his watch, and he looks over at me. He's like, when are you going to be here? He's like, I'll be here in less than 3 weeks. And my recruiter's like, well, that's awesome. Maybe I'll see you around. Shakes his hand and then walks over to me and goes, your brother's fucked.
This was your drill instructor?
This is my drill instructor, my heavy, and he was a savage, man. He was the only guy that had combat experience in Kuwait in the first war. And,
oh, wow.
And so that was rare back then. So everybody's looking at this guy. He's just stacked, and machine gunner, infantry dude.
Oh, wow.
And so he walks by, tells me that, and then just kind of chuckles and walks away. Turns out my brother enlists, gets 3 of my drill instructors, Kilo Company, 3rd Battalion, same barracks.
Ooh.
Dude, he got crushed.
I
and
bet
of course,
he did.
my brother, who's 5 years older than me, is like, living in my footsteps for the first time. Because I followed in my brother's footsteps, the big football hero in high school, the big baseball player, the athlete, the popular guy, and, CEO of his ROTC attachment in high school, and then went on to Valdosta State University and did the same thing there with ROTC, and but had to enlist. So yeah, he got crushed and still got Ironman and high shooter. So he graduates, really? Yeah, and he wanted to be an infantry officer. They sent him to 8th and I. He gets a Yankee White. Yankee White contract because he's enlisted first. Goes to barracks, and if I remember the story right, he was there for almost 2 years. He's miserable. He's like, I just want to be a leader of Marines. I want to be an officer.
Yeah.
And he's working on General Krulak's door. General Krulak and his aides walk by one morning. Like, hey, good morning, Lance Corporal. He's like, good morning, sir, and salutes him, opens the door. He's like, how you doing today? And my brother just goes, fuck it. He's like, not good, sir.
He just said, I'm going to shooting the Hail Mary.
Oh, and of course the aides are behind the commandant like, you're fucking dead.
Yeah, of course the aides are like, don't talk to the commandant.
So he kind of stops and backs up. It's like, I'm sorry, Lance Corporal. And he's like, never mind, sir, blah, blah. Anyways, he tells him a brief little 30-second elevator pitch on wanting to be an officer, and he wrote him a letter.
He wrote him a letter of recommendation.
Went to OCS. Yeah.
No kidding. Yeah. So he dropped basically an ECP
That's the nutshell.
package.
Don't quote me on that story, but that's the nutshell story of how he got to OCS and became an infantry officer and went out to Hawaii. And
he had been enlisted for 2 years by that point.
Yeah. So he Mustanged and then bounced around the infantry. And then by this time, I'm already, now in his career, I'm in my career. And I go LAR, 3rd Light Armored Reconnaissance Battalion, sneak out, take the NDOC, go to 1st Recon, get to 2nd Force Recon, and eventually I start working into some of the contracting world. I'm like, I think I'm going to try to go to the tip of the spear, Tier 1 stuff.
Yeah.
So I take CAG screening. I'm talking to my guys about, hey, how do I get over to ground branch and the agency if I wanted to do that one day? So like, we'll get out in contract. So I get out, I stay in the reserves, and I go to Hawaii to 4th Force Recon. And my platoon commander at the time was an FBI guy. And he's like, I'm just too busy. I can't deploy. I can't do this. I need to find a platoon commander. And so I'm like, okay, my brother's getting off active duty at this point at like 13 years or something like that. He joins the FBI, becomes a Joint Terrorism Task Force officer of the FBI and a reserve company commander.
Your brother?
My brother, yeah.
Okay, so he went into the reserves.
He was active duty for 13 years, and I was active duty for 12 years, almost 13 years, so we both kind of at the same time went to reserves.
Okay.
He went FBI. I started my first company, went to Hawaii for 4 years, and I was like, well, shit, 4th is right here. Let me go knock on the door and talk to the sergeant major and see if they need anybody.
Yeah.
And boom, I just jumped right in on board on that. So we needed a platoon commander, and so I put the name in to the hat, and he comes out to Hawaii all the time to visit his friends and stuff. And then one day I'm coming off a combat dive mission. I hear this Staff Sergeant Haley, get over to fucking the CO's office right now. So I'm like, hell's he want? So I run over there. I'm like, walk and say, hey, what's up, sir? He's like, Haley, it would have been nice if you'd have told me the candidate for the platoon commander position was your brother. And I'm like, was that a problem, sir? Because I didn't tell anybody. I just put a name in. And I look over and there's my brother sitting on a couch. I was like, oh, hey, sir. He's like, knock that shit off. He goes, I don't want to see. So I was like, how the fuck am I supposed to do this? And he goes, I don't think this has ever happened before.
I don't think this is legal.
I said, well, I'll salute him just like I'll salute you, sir. And no shit, they made him platoon commander, interim platoon commander, and he was a major, and then he was getting senior, so they pushed him off, and he took over, I think, as the XO of 3rd Force Recon, so that got him into the community, and then he went to Wounded Warrior Battalion, and then just retired. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So he ended up being your platoon commander temporarily. Was he? And he was in the reserves at that point too.
Yeah, he was reserve, so he could be in that position.
Did he stay in the reserves for the rest of his time?
He did.
Okay.
Then he retired out of reserves.
Well, and he was part of the counterterrorism for the FBI while he was doing that. So that was his full-time gig.
That was his full-time gig.
And he was living in Hawaii at that time?
He was living in Tennessee at that time as a
Gotcha.
Well, he was in Newark, New Jersey, Miami, and then he ended up in Knoxville, Tennessee, where he got married to his wife. And then came out to Hawaii and worked with us, and so
just
he was
back
just
and forth for drill and stuff. And how about you? Where were you living full-time during that?
So when I left active duty at Camp Lejeune, I moved to San Diego to be with my wife, who we had been separated for almost 4 years.
She was in the Navy, right?
Yeah, she was a commander in the Navy. She was a dermatologist. So she was at Balboa and working there. I met her in like free fall jump master school and didn't even know she was an officer for like a month. And I was like, what the fuck? I finally went to her house and I put myself in her closet to stay with all, she's got a bunch of roommates, and I slotted aside. I'm like, why? And I knew her roommate, one of the guys was a roommate, and he was a lieutenant in the Navy. So I see the uniform, I was like, why is her roommate's uniform something? And I saw the lapel, and I was like, hey, why didn't you tell me you were an officer in the Navy? She goes, doesn't matter, I'm a doctor. You know how docs are in the Navy.
Yeah.
And I was like, how the fuck are we supposed to do this? And
docs live by different rules.
Married for 18 years later, we did get divorced, and I'm with a beautiful woman now, Bertoni. And so, but that was it was interesting. So yeah, the objective was, like, we ever going to have a family in this kind of mode? So I moved to San Diego, literally 2 weeks, man. I'm digging my toes in the sand, trying to figure out what am I going to do with my life. Because I had just gotten a bad shooting in Africa that I talked about on the Sean Ryan show. Oh, wow. And so that kind of really messed me up, man. I didn't know what to do anymore. And
during this time, who were you working for? Who was your employer?
So I got out, Second Force Recon, left and just got out. Off active duty. Yeah. Immediately started my first company, started doing training gigs because it was easy for me after the whole Najaf thing, the videos and stuff at that point in time. And that's when people started contacting me and said, hey, we heard you're out. So Blackwater calls me 2 weeks. I'm sitting there with a Corona on the beach.
Did Eric Prince call you?
No, one of his project managers called me and said, hey, we got this gig. We found out you're out of the Marine Corps. I'm like, how the hell do you know I'm out of the Marine Corps? And they're like, word gets around quick. We need special operators overseas. Can you be at Moyak in 2 weeks from now? We're going to push you right to Baghdad from there after 2 weeks of training. I'm like,
what year is this?
This is 2004.
2004?
Yeah, 2004.
Oh, so this is like during the same year the second Battle of Fallujah took place.
Yeah, so I just get out of Iraq. I was in Mosul. Then we on the MEU, and we come out. We do the 911 into Liberia. Okay. We come out, we go home. So we had a little extended deployment. And at that point, after the shootings and stuff, I was like, I think I need to leave. And of course, my platoon commander, everybody's like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? You got your staff sergeant, you got, you're a pretty senior guy, you got everything working for you. Why wouldn't you just stay and retire? And I never really told my guys what was going on in my head, because you didn't talk about that shit, right? Because you're not allowed to be vulnerable in the Marine Corps. But it's getting better. Yeah. So that's why I punched out and just said, I gotta do something new. And then friends started calling me and said, hey, can you teach us how to shoot? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So I do little classes on the weekends, and then people are like, dude, you could do this full time. So my wife's like, hey, start a company and start doing this. And that'll help you maybe cope a little bit by sharing some of your experiences and failures, to the people that you care about. And I was like, you know what? That's what I want to do. So I started that company. We were in San Diego. She then gets orders to Bethesda to take over as a staff dermatologist there for the White House for President Bush at the time. And she was top 1% in the country. And so she did that, which was great for me because now I'm in DC. And so then I started contract. It was easier for me to fly out and go to Moyak.
And where is Moyak?
North Carolina.
Moyock?
Moyock, North Carolina. That's where Blackwater's. Well, it's not Blackwater anymore, but
yeah. What are they called now?
Constellus.
Constellus
Group, I believe.
Constellus Group.
Yeah.
So, and Eric Prince is still over there, right?
No, he's been gone for a long time.
Doesn't he have? He has another company now, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's who knows what he's doing now.
He's got a lot.
I know he's got
going
the phone thing. He's got a bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah, the unplugged thing or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you went to Moyock, and then you were still working with them, going overseas and stuff.
Yeah. So I immediately go right back from San Diego. Of course, I get off the phone, and she's like, "Hey, who was that?" I'm like, "Oh fuck, I just messed up." I said, "Hey, I got to go back to country," and she supported me even though it was tough. And so I went right back in Iraq and just lived over there for as long as I could.
How many months do you think you were there?
The first contract was like, that was a 90. They typically did 90s. But then you come back for like 30 and go back for 90. And then you could do 60s. And so you could kind of make your own schedule, which was nice. And you got paid a hell of a lot of money.
Wow.
And so I can make my own schedule.
What were they paying the average contractor for you guys back then?
Back then it was $700 a day.
$700 a day?
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people look at the end of the year when you're there for, you know, especially the tax-free aspect and everything else, dude, you're making 200,000+ a year.
Yeah.
But, you know, a lot of guys are like, I want a contract. Well, say goodbye to healthcare and insurance and all that other stuff, man. You don't get the big Marine, big Army kind of, you know, blanket for your security there.
Yeah.
So you get you get hurt, you get stuff like that. They have insurance programs, but it's not the best, in my opinion, back then that took care of people. So
maybe it's better now, you think?
Yeah, a lot of these companies, I think, are doing a lot better with that kind of stuff. A little bit more. Now that it's more streamlined and everybody's in the flow, I think it's a lot better. I've been out of that game for a little bit, but
yeah.
So I did that for a while, and then you know I'm over there and I'm starting to meet people and like, well, maybe I can start contracting in different ways. So then I started working for the Center for Anti-Terrorism because we were only in DC for a year, which was great because then I was doing some of the flight stuff with some of the OGA stuff there. So I took vetting, did that for a while, and then she says, "Hey, we can go to Hawaii for 4 years if you want." I'm like, "Hawaii? Like that's a big heavy lift, you know?" And she's like, "Screw it, let's go."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "You know what? Screw it. Let's go. Maybe that's what I need." So we move out there. Now Hayden, my son, who's in the Marines, he was born in D.C. We moved to Hawaii. I'm out there for 4 years. I go right to Fourth Force, beat on the door and talk to them and start jumping on with them. Then I started working with the Center for Anti-Terrorism as an instructor out there for the Navy.
Okay.
Which they do all it used to be called the SRFA, SRFB, and VBSS programs, shipboarding. So since that's a forte for me.
What does VBSS stand for, just for?
Visit, board, search, and seizure. So anti-piracy stuff, taking back ships, like the typical Force Recon mission or the Navy SEAL mission. DevGru, you know, the Maersk, you know, Captain Phillips kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So people understand what that is.
Yeah.
And that's one of our, you know, big jobs while we're out on the Muse and is looking for those types of things. But the Navy side, the SRFB guys, they kind of secure the ship. The A kind of, if I remember the letters right, forgive me if I'm backwards, they'll do port security while a ship's in port. So if something happens, they're the react force, the QRF for the ship.
Okay.
And then you have a VBSS element, which is the top tier of those three of sailors that passed the vetting. And it was a phenomenal program. Man. It was 3 weeks, crushed, packed schedule every single day. We had some of the best MMA fighters in Hawaii come in, and they would teach us for 2 hours a day. You did MMA. We shot almost freaking for 2 weeks straight on the range with Mark 18s. And
which range did you guys go to?
We went to the Marine Corps. Was it
Hula?
Yeah, Kulo. Yeah.
Pulo. It's over in Eva Beach.
Yes, Eva Beach. Yep.
Okay. I've qualified rifle range there many times.
Yeah, so we'd work in the back ranges, and it was a phenomenal program. Then we had this whole hangar that was a giant ship out of Conex boxes inside, and we hit that for a week, all sims, all low light, everything. And then we'd go out to the mothball fleet there in Pearl Harbor, and we'd hit the actual ships. And dude, it was an incredible program. And so we could produce some sailor to operator pretty freaking quick.
Yeah.
So I love that job. So I did that as my day job while I was still going out and doing my own company, teaching and stuff like that. Got big in competition shooting there at Cocoa Head Crater.
Oh, nice. The Cocoa Head shooting spot.
That's where my IPSC game turned on and started running and gunning really hard. And
that's cool.
And then she was getting to the end of her time. She had 16 years in the Navy and said, "Hey, I think I'm going to get out." And I'm like, "Okay, let's do it." Because make a little bit more money as a dermatologist at that point, because she's got to go into a staff position, which means she's not going to practice medicine anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, what do you want to do? Let's move to Colorado. But before I moved there, this is when I had a really good relationship with Magpul. And so their guys would send us equipment and we combat dive it and we jump it, we test it. And so the owner comes out and says, "Hey man, why don't you jump on board with the team? Especially if you're moving back to Colorado." And I was like, "It's a hell of a company, hell of a brand, man. You guys have always taken care of me. Let's run with it." So he ended up dissolving my company, and we combined it with Magpul, which created Magpul Dynamics, because my first company was simply Dynamics. So that's how Magpul Dynamics became a thing. So I was the owner of Magpul Dynamics. And then
you're the owner?
Yeah, that's my company. Because I'm saying, hey, if I sell, now we're 50-50 on the company, right?
Okay.
So he's still majority owner. But
is it still called Magpul Dynamics?
No, that's gone. Since I left, that kind of dissolved.
Okay.
But and he's like, "Hey, how would you like access to engineers and industrial designers? Because I see you have a machine shop in your garage in base housing," which was fun. Sewing machines. So I'm already making slings. I'm making, all my first little run productions of some of the battery assist devices and the plates for the slings, and started getting patents on them, and then took those to Magpul, and they were like, "We're not going to make that stuff because it's not our brand." And I'm like, "Just trust me, man. Put it under Magpul Dynamics. We'll sell it as this theory-based product line." Next thing you know, it all blows up.
People liked it.
Oh yeah.
And was it mainly just like slings and stuff at the time?
Those things were, right. That was my side that I brought to Magpul, but of course they had, all the stock development starting to happen because I was new back then. PMags were I think we were still at Gen 1 PMag when I got there, if I remember right.
Did you have a hand in development of PMags at all?
No, I mean, of course, from a test and evaluation, that's what Magpul Dynamics was. It was a phenomenal internal test and evaluation unit for research and development. And so that's why I still do that today with HST. Haley Strategic Training is our in-house training department. So we build prototypes, we send it out to our team immediately. They beat the shit out of it and put it through all the environmental testing and, putting their tactical mind behind it and saying, "Nah, this is not going to work on a patrol. This isn't going to work at night. This is blah, blah, blah," right?
Yeah.
So we did that. And of course I'm always in R&D because I'm, my gears are always turning on ideas.
Sure.
And so I started helping with some of the designs of all products back there with the engineers and ID. And then the company just blew up overnight because the experiment for us was Magpul Dynamics. And he came out and said, "Hey, I want you to help me start a world-class training company." And I was like, "Sounds awesome. Let's do it, man." So the first idea we had was, mobile training back then wasn't really mobile training. You had a couple of big names going around, like Vickers, I think, had just gotten into it. Kyle Lamb's out there. Just getting into it.
Vickers slings were really popular.
Yeah, and that was later when he came out with those, a little bit later. And so then you had like Pat Rogers, Warrant Officer Rogers running around.
Who made the Blue Force slings?
That's Larry.
That's
Vickers.
Larry?
Yeah, Larry.
Okay, yeah, because that's like the most commonly issued sling that I've seen in the Marine Corps.
Yeah,
now.
Yeah, it was
I don't know if it's
big
just because contract. It's just
we actually lost the contract to him because when I made my first MS2 sling at Magpul, we couldn't get the components more than 1,000 units a month to make the sling.
Oh,
and they came to us and said, I think the Air Force the second day after we launched the sling said, "Hey, we want 29,000 slings right now." And I'm like,
bro, I don't have the manufacturing.
Well, I told him, I said, "Dude, we need to
capacity."
injection mold this. This is what Magpul does well. We're a molding company."
Yeah.
And but it was too big of a lift, cost wise, kind of risky. You don't want to spend $60,000 on mold parts to make a strap work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, which is good because everything has an evolution to it. We changed a bunch of things, and but yeah, it just went crazy from there. But the idea was, well, we need to tell people about training. And there wasn't really big social media back then except YouTube popping off, which is what kind of started with the whole Najaf video, and that just ran wild with millions and millions of views.
The Najaf video, would you, just for those people that may not have seen it, and also to refresh my memory, was that the little bird that's just flying around and they're like shooting guns out of the bird?
Long story short, there was a small team of mixed bag guys, Blackwater dudes, contract agency guys in the city of Najaf, and they ran the Coalition Provisional Authority down there, and you have your CPAs all over the country. And the best way to describe it, which may not be the most accurate, but it's like, imagine if you had your central government, DC, then you got all your cities and your governors, right? So you have your presidential envoy, which is Ambassador Paul Bremer at the time, which I was on his detail in Baghdad. Okay. So I was on the detail and then the advanced team, then I got to the little birds. And so we would just roll with him with the three little birds and the convoys and the military. And when there was hotspots around the country that would require us and the Little Bird team to go help or support, we would support U.S. Army, we'd support U.S. Marines, because Apaches and other gunships, they couldn't be authorized to do the shit that we could.
Yeah. What kind of things did you?
I'll leave it at that.
Oh, okay.
What happens to the little bird stays in the little bird.
Yeah, that's fair.
But no, it was all good work, and so we made a difference, man. We did because the Army would be like, hey, can you fly cover for us because we can't get Apaches today because they're tasked out over here.
Yeah.
So we'd fly surveillance support, and if anything would happen, we'd be like, hey, dude, you got dudes back of the building, 12 dudes, black pajamas coming around on you.
So you guys were all on comms together. And everything.
Yeah, we would do it. We would absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So all of the pilots from most of the guys were former Task Force 160th guys.
Okay.
So you're talking the cream of the crop. You know?
Yeah.
So anyways, we get a call from Najaf saying that shit's bad. They're not going to make it through the night. We're like, wait, what the hell's going on?
Who's not going to make it?
Chris White, who is the team leader down there, did a podcast on my Bridge podcast about this. Had Chris on the show. Hadn't seen him since I left the rooftop 20 years later on the anniversary. He moves to Scottsdale, Arizona. We just link up and I'm like, dude, we got to sit down and do a podcast.
He lives there now.
Yeah. And so we did and I hadn't talked to him about the history of this. And so we sat there and just like, oh, this happened down there because he was the Najaf team. We were the Baghdad team, and we flew in to support them because there was some political stuff going on. And,
of course.
We still don't know why. I need a couple guys, even our AIC, former Recon Marine, wrote a book. Agency redacted most of it, pissed everybody off. Every time we talk about it, people get pissed. Like, Haley, shut up, man. Stop talking about it. I'm like, I don't talk about all the details. I'm talking about the tremendous people that were there and the things that we did amazing and the things that we could have done better. And so that's what I'm always going to share. And who the fuck would I be if I didn't share the history of good and bad, right?
Sure.
It's like 250 years of history we're dealing with and celebrating right now. Like, we're celebrating that heritage and what men and women did to have the ability to still sit here and continue to do that. Like, storytelling is a way to kind of educate people.
That's been a big problem I've noticed with a lot of people, and not to go on a sidetrack, but there's been a real issue that a lot of people would bringing up about the fact that we've unfortunately overclassified so much stuff so that to a point where like nobody can access any information or share information. Like there's a real problem with overclassification. Part of that is like in relation to like UAPs and aliens and stuff like that, which that's a whole nother thing, but it's something I definitely want to talk to people about. But there's also the same thing with like military history and stuff like that, because there's all these events where there's some, something that had to be redacted because somebody classified it at a higher level, and so they can't reveal it or release it, and so then you lose that piece of military history that it could potentially be the reason why somebody's like, they read something about that, and so they joined because of that.
There are so many forgotten wars that nobody will ever hear anything about.
Yeah, the whole Bosnia conflict.
Yeah, I was there.
I'm just learning about stuff about that.
Yeah,
like, dude, I heard about there was like rich people paying the Serbs to go hunting there to hunt civilians.
Yes,
I just heard about that the other day.
I was there in '99 on the Serbian border doing DRP missions in Force Recon, and
Nuts.
Dude, it was a front row seat to ethnic cleansing.
Yeah.
Nobody will ever know about it.
Nobody ever talks about it.
It's because it's a 900-year kind of conflict, or probably more than that now.
Yeah.
It's just what happens. It's like Africa. It's just what they do. The Africans will tell you that. Like, how could people do this? How could they cut nipples off of women so they can't breastfeed their babies?
Yeah.
It's Africa.
Oh, dude.
It's just what they do.
Sudan is like a bloodbath right now. Nigeria, absolutely insane. Yeah. Chad, the Congo. Dude, there's so much stuff going on out there that nobody is even talking about or hearing about.
And I get that there are certain things that have to be, it's not my job to try to dive into the classification and the secret shit that we're not supposed to be divulging. That's not my job. I'm just talking about the event and amazing people. Like, you'll hear a story tonight about one Marine that was just phenomenal. And probably we wouldn't have lived if it wasn't for actions that he did and other people like him. But that's what I love talking about, right? Yeah. That's the honor, that's the courage, that's the commitment, man. And I want to share that. Yeah. So, but they do call it the Benghazi of Iraq.
Do they really?
Similar situation with Phil Cosnett, one of the agency guys there, basically the same as Chris Stevens in Benghazi, and Muqtada al-Sadr, who ran the city of Najaf, an Iranian cleric who had 10,000 Mahdi loyalists in the city at the time, and he'd send about hundreds of people to up to 1,000 at any given time. Because I ran into a Viper pilot in D.C. About a year later, and I was outside on a phone call. This guy smoking a cigar, and he's like, "Hey, what's up, man?" He goes, "Who are you with?" I'm like, "Well, I'm not with anybody, man." He's like, "Who are you with?" I'm like, I said, "Bro, I literally got out of the Marine Corps and I'm just here. My wife lives here and she's a doc. We're just doing a staycation downtown," which was a cover for my action. But And because I don't know who this guy is, and in DC, you just don't start telling people who you are.
No.
DC is the worst place to do that.
Yeah.
So he goes, hey, I'm Air Force pilot. I'm a Viper pilot. I was like, oh, dude, hey, high five, brother. Yeah. He's like, you want a cigar? I'm like, sure. We started bullshitting, and he said, where were you at? And I said, in Mosul, and I've been in Baghdad, Ramadi, Najaf. He's like, oh, when were you in Najaf? I said 2004. He's like, really? He goes, you were in 2004? I said, not with the big push with the Marine Corps. I was there for he's like, the Blackwater thing? And I'm like, you know about that? He's like, bro, I was flying sorties that day for you guys. And I'm like, and so we sat and talked about his observation from the sky. He's like, bro, that was the most insane thing I ever. And he goes, and we don't know why we were called off target. I said, yeah, it was all airstrikes, which we had a couple bombs drop that day. One of them as we were flying on Little Birds, and we thought we got shot out of the sky because of the shockwave hit the aircraft. We had no comms going in. And they called all Apaches off station as soon as we got there, and they called all air off station. They denied every medevac. We had people dead. We had people wounded.
These are like agency guys and Blackwater guys that were wounded,
and a company of Spanish troops with LAVs.
Oh, wow.
We're not allowed to fire a shot. They did in the beginning, but then the Spanish Prime Minister contacts Colonel Cole, the Spanish coalition commander on the target, and says, do not fire a shot. If anybody in the Spanish military fires a shot, they will be court-martialed. We are negotiating. I'm now adding the part that we know about. We're now negotiating with terrorists, and we're pulling out of the country, which they did. So they buttoned up in their hatches and sat there with 25-millimeter chain guns. We're up there on the roof, Mark 18s, and hardly any ammo, PKMs that didn't work, a couple AT-4s. And so there was an Army contingent of guys there, like a little staff. And there was a Marine team that came in, and they were comm guys just putting antennas up on the rooftop that day, doing comm checks and then moving back to their fob. Yeah. Well, they just happened to stumble into the biggest insurgent assault of the war. And so we get this call from White Boy down in Najaf that, hey, this shit's popping off, man. He goes, I don't think we're going to make it through the night. Now, you're talking to a Master Chief, retired fucking DevGru guy, and when he says that, there's probably a reason he's telling us that.
Yeah.
Ambassador Bremer calls in General Sanchez, a coalition commander at the time. They almost get in a fist fight in the office. He's like, I need to know what's going on right now. I got my guy down there, Phil, and I need to get him out. It's a bunch of contractors, sir. They're making a big deal about it. He's like, contractors? I'm standing in office watch. I'm in the corner while this conversation is going on. And he's like, they're just a bunch of effing contractors. They're over-exaggerating. And I'm thinking, like, these are all Tier 1 special operators down there. These guys are hitters, man. And they're not going to call you on a phone and say, hey, dude, we're not going to make it to the night, right? If a CAG team called you and said, hey, Kagan, we're not going to make it to the night, would you take that seriously? Yes, yeah. Right? Yeah. I take it serious if anybody called me.
Yeah, I take it serious if anybody's going to call you.
But this guy, there's something going on there.
Yeah.
So after fights, he finally calls me and says, hey, Travis, sir. He's like, call your boss up here. Hey, Frank, get up here right now. So Frank comes up, says, what's going on? He's like, hey, have you heard from White Boy? He's like, yeah, it's getting bad, sir. They're not going to make it. He's like, all right, I'm going to do I forget what he's called it, some type of congressional order that states, I am sending you in as contractors by any means necessary to get those people out. That means you can, if you need to, offensively engage in combat operations. Contractors are not allowed to do that based on the Geneva Convention. We can defend ourselves because if I have a principal or somebody I'm protecting and they attack us, well, of course, we can defend ourselves. But we can't just go, oh, there's a bad guy with a rifle and shoot
that's
him.
very different from the way that, like, the Wagner group operates.
Oh, very different.
Like, very different.
Yeah, U.S. contractors still maintain the order and the bylaws and everything else. I mean, I'm still in the Marines at this time. I'm contracting as a staff NCO in a Marine Corps, so I still have the same intentions of the U.S. government, the coalition forces, and peace and freedom in this country and helping people. So, and if a merc would come in, mercenary is a derogatory term for a U.S. PMC because merc, if you look up the definition, is somebody that's only in it for their own personal gain monetarily, et cetera. And those dudes would get eaten up as soon as we get them in. Because you'd have South Africans come in, you'd have UK dudes come in, and you're like, you're not on this team. You're in this for yourself. Get out of here or something very bad is going to happen to you. Yeah. And so that's when the contractor world got shitty and weird people started coming in. Contractors start shooting at cars and you see all the videos on the internet. Blackwater does this, controversial. Army, military hates contractors. Like, well, that wasn't the case. You had certain people hate certain people, but overall, all the missions, the special missions that the U.S. military did not have time to do anymore, advanced PSD details, certain intelligence gathering details, it's like Force Recon, SF, Delta, like that's who used to do personal protective details for the U.S. military.
Yeah.
Well, those guys were pretty operational, so they don't have time to go babysit a general or an ambassador. So it was like, we need to, so that's where Eric Prince steps in and says, hey, I can solve that problem. I can recruit dudes that are solid guys that do have that purpose and justice and duty, that want to come out and help the coalition. So that's the big difference between those guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyways, I run over to the airfield, I grab the guys, grab my rifles, grab a sniper rifle, jump on the bird. We load them down as much as we can. We haul ass in. And
about how long of a flight was that?
70 miles, 100 feet, 100 knots. And so we landed in Hilla at the old Babylon area, where we turned it into a FARP, which is kind of funny. You're sitting there fueling your helicopters, and you can see the ruins of Babylon like 50 meters away. Wow. And yeah, the U.S. does fun stuff. It's amazing.
Got a bunch of diesel fuel sitting in the old Babylon ruins.
It's like you walk into the Baghdad Palace, you're like, oh my God, everything's gold and tile, and then you see plywood cubicles everywhere. Like, good job, guys.
Yeah.
But anyways, so we haul ass to Hilla, we land, we refuel, we sit down, go, hey guys, we have no idea what we're about to get ourselves into. And our lead pilot, who's the most phenomenal dude in the history of aviation and the military, says, it's a volunteer mission, guys. He goes, nobody is going to question you if you stay here. And so we all look at each other as if like, yeah, I dare you. And so we jumped on a bird and boom, we hauled ass in. But right before that, 2 Apaches came in from Najaf. They came in from the west, which now we're 17 minutes out from Najaf. 17 miles, I'm sorry. And so they come in and they know our lead pilot, Hacksaw, because he was one of the Little Bird drivers in Mogadishu. And this guy's a legend, man.
So your pilot for your Little Bird was one of the dudes flying one of the Delta's Little Birds in Mogadishu during like Black Hawk Down incident. Oh, yeah. Wow. So that dude was a freaking legend then.
Hacksaw. Yeah, everybody will hear that name and know who it is. But
that's wild.
So and of course these Apache guys like, Hack, what's up, dude? What are you guys doing here? And they're like, we're going into Najaf to get our guys out. And they were like, bro, we were just called out of there. And he's like, what do you mean you were why? He's like, it's too hot. I'm like, does that make sense?
It's too hot.
Two Apache gunship pilots telling us that it's too hot for them to go in. So that's where we started going, what's going on? Is there air on station? Yeah, we got some Vipers working inbound right now, but we have no comms with them. He's like, bullshit. I need the freaks right now. We're about to go in. He's like, Hack, I wouldn't do that if I were you. So they try to talk him out of it. He takes him around the back of the Apaches, has a conversation, comes back with a piece of paper. We jump in the birds and haul ass in.
With a piece of paper?
Freaks. Comm freaks.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, comm frequencies.
You're not allowed to give outside U.S. military freaks. But the trust and brotherhood of us trying to go in and save our guys, turns out the freaks didn't work anyways. So we had no comms with air going in. And so we roll in and we do a rip around the buildings. We can see everybody screaming on the rooftop, like waving at us, and have no comms with them either. But we're trying to get an essay from the sky. And all of a sudden, and I felt the aircraft shake, and Hack's like, what's that? What the hell? What the hell? And he's like, I still got good rudder. I got control. What's going on? I'm looking at the aircraft like, hey, we're good, Hack. And I look out and I see this just mushroom cloud, like probably 600 meters to our south.
What detonated?
A JDAM.
JDAM.
Viper dropped a JDAM right past us as we were coming in because he can't see us from up there. He's focused on his HUD on the target. So and all of a sudden, Little Bird's coming in and that pilot that day, he's like, bro, when I dropped that ordnance and I all of a sudden saw 3 Little Bird helicopters, I'm like, and he freaked out.
I bet he did.
He's like, there's nothing I could do. I said,
well, it's too late.
We were fine. We figured it out all of a sudden. We're like, hey, there's got to be somebody up flying above us. Unless an IED went off, so we have no idea what's happening. Yeah, so we go in, we drop our ordnance, we drop our AT4s, and drop as much shit as we can. And then they're just pointing to the ground. And so we're like, what's going on? So what we didn't know is we're taking fire this whole time. And we come in, we sit in a little courtyard. And man, the way those boys sat down, I think the rotors were probably maybe 2 foot off each other, just because it was so tight to get those birds in there.
Jesus.
So they say, hey, welcome to the fight, boys. Grab your shit. Let's go to the rooftop because this is an Alamo situation. And so we're like...
Who are you picking up in that courtyard?
Nobody. We shut down to try to figure out what the hell's going on.
Okay.
And support if we needed to. So we got 12 guys now, 6 pilots, 6 gunners. We grab all our saws, which is our primary weapon system. I grab my sniper rifle. And one of my buddies now, Ben... he's a former SEAL. He looks and he's like, dude, is that a sniper rifle? I'm like, yeah. He's like, dude, we need it on the roof right away. And so I grabbed it, and I almost didn't grab the rifle because it was a shared counter sniper rifle between me and another guy in the team. And I just said, should I take that, dude? And he's like, yeah, just go ahead and take it. I never fired the gun. I never shot it. He zeroed it 100 meters, but it's a sniper rifle. And that's why I always tell stories like, hey, if you don't have a good zero, you don't have shit.
Yeah.
And so even if you shoot at 100 meters with a sniper rifle, you don't know what it's going to do at 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, even with a 5.56. And so I'm figuring out my dope on the rooftop. Gun's not hitting. And so he's like, hey, you see all those guys out there coming down? You see those green flags? That's Mahdi Army. They're to be engaged at any opportunity. And because they got the word for that, it's on now.
Mahdi Army, meaning the like
Muqtada al-Sadr's loyalists and his, you'll see, it's kind of like, looks like a Hamas kind of green, bandanas, green flags.
Was there like, how many of those bad guys were there out there? Estimated.
So estimates later, and of course, research, pilots, books, and all this other stuff, they're saying there was 10,000 loyal Mahdi loyalists in the city and about 1,000 combatants.
Okay. So that's like an entire infantry battalion worth of dudes coming for you guys. And how many of you were there?
There was, the people that, when I say the small numbers you hear me say, that's the gunfighters that were on the roof, less than 20.
Less than 20.
Yeah. Now you had the whole company of Spanish troops. We had a platoon of El Salvadorians, and they were kicking ass. They were clearing buildings and trying to hunt down snipers that were shooting at us and hitting our guys.
But you said the Spanish guys weren't allowed to shoot anything.
They did not. Yeah, we had one Spanish sniper up there with a 50 cal Barrett. We convinced him to shoot a dude with an RPG at 700 meters, blast the guy, and they came up within 5 minutes and ripped him off the roof and took the gun, and he was gone. And we heard he got court-martialed for taking that shot. So I don't know, but
Jesus. And he was just trying to protect you.
Yeah. And he was very scared to take that shot. We're like, dude,
he was.
Rocket, man. And now they're setting up mortars on us. We actually had a mortar hit the rooftop about 7 meters from Ben and one of my other guys. And
you know what kind of mortar it was?
I don't know. It just detonated. You could hear it coming in.
Yeah.
And they were that close. Didn't even have a scratch on them. So now we're like, holy shit, they're dialing us in.
Yeah.
That's when it starts getting creepy, man. When rockets start hitting and mortars start hitting, because they're just out there spraying and praying with PKMs.
Yeah.
So I just started saying, hey, guys, I'm going to set up let me get my gun, my dope down. Let me build a range card. I started working targets as close as I could. 100 meters, they're right on the T, HESCO barriers. Sending bus loads, tour buses full of insurgents.
Tour buses?
Yeah, if you watch the video that's on YouTube, you'll see me smacking it sounds like smacks when it hits the side of the bus. That bus was 104 meters away, and there was probably at least 25 guys inside of it, kitted out, waiting to get off this bus. I'm looking at them through a 10-power scope, like, holy shit. So we just lit this bus up, and somehow that bus was like, fuck this. And you can see them driving out as we're just shooting, and all the windows are going out of it. So we turned it into a meat grinder. But that's how much dedicated.
Load. They were bussing.
There would be guys in groups of 50 to 100 running at us at any given time.
That's insane.
And you just shoot them. And that's why you hear the quote in the video, like you'll hear me say, Jesus Christ, it's like a fucking turkey shoot. Like I literally said that, and that became a famous quote.
Oh, really? I've never seen that video. I'll have to watch it later on. That's
like
nuts.
A Blackwater sniper or something like that.
Yeah. But you said you had a lot of M249s up there too for like high volume fire stuff.
Yeah. But the ammo was the issue. So now we're in a 2-day sustained firefight. Even nighttime, you see some of the videos, guys were getting pretty stressed, like, hey, man, we're not going to make it through the night. And so some of those conversations I use today as lessons learned of don't say those things. I don't give a shit if you think it's your last breath.
Yeah.
Live life with every breath.
Yeah. So who was recording all this stuff while you guys were up there? Oh, you did?
Yeah.
No kidding.
I started early in the media space, but
no joke.
So I was a surveillance guy. So since I'm a recon Marine, when I was on the Bremer detail, on his actual ground gun detail, eventually they were saying, hey, does anybody know when to run a camera here? And I'm like, should I volunteer for this? Because, we're all SIDS operators, Canon, professional photographers, and recon.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yeah, what do you guys need? I said, I actually have my SLR cameras here. And they're like, dude, can you go up on Little Birds and take some photos of the Ministry of Oil and some other targets and give it over to S2 so we can just build a file on this? I'm like, yeah, whatever. So, of course, I love living on the air side and jump in there and immediately hit it off with Hack and all the guys. And they went out and tested me and see if I get scared. And
they tested you to see if you get scared.
Yeah. Like if you got a guy on the skids, your ass needs to be on the edge and your feet need to be on the skid. You're not sitting inside the helicopter. You're outside.
Yeah.
And when they go into an RTT, which is return to target, they will hammerhead that thing and kick the tail boom around and just.
Are you strapped in though?
Yeah, you're strapped in with a harness and everything.
I'd be freaking out if
when
you're
that
not.
thing turns over and you see nothing but sky and you see the ground real quick, and then all of a sudden you'll see everybody just kind of scoot right back in the helicopter, and you're like, you're done. Goodbye. Like you're not allowed to scoot in. That was my test as one of the gunner instructors.
Okay.
And I'd put him and say, hey, if you scoot back in that seat, that means you're scared, man. We can't have that. So that was our little vetting. So anyways, I hit it off, and
so that's how you got the cameras that you had while you were up there on the roof.
So now I'm working double shifts on the detail, on the air side, detail, and they're like, hey man, would you like to just stay on the air side? I'm like, yeah, you don't have to drive around in vehicles and blow up. Sure.
Yeah.
So I jump on the air team for the rest of my time.
Did anybody else, was there ever like any word of like them having stingers or anything like that out there during that time?
There was a ton of, was it the Red Eye? What's the Russian? They were running them out of Biop. They were running them out of Najaf, Mosul.
Okay.
And we had the airliner shot down in Biop there. So they were shooting surface-to-air missiles. And that was one thing we didn't have on Little Birds. We had no anti-air systems.
Yeah, like man pads. They had man pad type stuff.
Oh, yeah.
See, that was the one thing, like, I would imagine they probably had less man pads than IEDs, though.
Oh, of course.
So you have to, like, I guess if you're looking at just from pure a number standpoint, like, I'm more likely to hit an IED in a vehicle than I am to get shot out of the air with a man pad.
Yeah. The amount of ordnance in the country of Iraq was incredible. Our first Force Recon mission up in the north, first push in, was this April 2003? Before everybody even knows we're going in.
It's about like Kurdistan?
We're already offloading from Crete off the Mew into Erbil. So we snuck into Erbil at night.
I've been to Erbil.
Yeah.
But not until 2023, so it's very different, obviously.
Very different back then.
Yeah.
And then we hopped over into Mosul to take down the 10th Corps Iraqi Army, take down the Mosul airfield. And so we hit that.
Mosul's a freaking huge city,
massive.
dude. I've flown past it in a Black Hawk on the way back from Syria.
Massive.
And when it's all lit up at night, it's pretty intimidating to think that there was massive battles being waged in that city.
When we were flying in from Erbil, everything was on fire. You could see AAA going up. It was just like in a movie. And we're just like, I remember the I don't even know what the word is.
That's insane.
Just sitting across the 46s of each other and the 53s moving in. We're just kind of looking at each other like, you look out the window like, dude, this is happening. This is fucking real. This is not a movie.
Yeah, that's
we're about to land in that shit.
That's crazy to think about. Like, because the only thing you have to compare it to is like watching the Band of Brothers series when they're flying in the planes during Normandy, right? And so you see all the flak and the planes getting shot out of the sky, and you're flying towards the city. That's got to be the craziest feeling ever.
Yeah. So we shut down and we started going into patrols and everything. And one of our objectives was to hit the 10th Corps ASP. And which is an ammo supply point. People don't know every base has one, bunkers, deep in the ground. And I think EOD made a comment. They said it would take us about 10 years to systematically clear this ASP. That's how big it is. And the bunkers went like 300 feet deep in the grounds. So we go out and patrol, and we noticed people started looting. And so that's how the IED war started. We were just a Mew, man. And so what happened is the BLT got stuck in Turkey, and the Turkish border wouldn't open the border. So as we're flying in at night, we're expecting the BLT to be landing in Mosul when we come in.
Oh, wow.
No support. So you got 25 Force Recon Marines laying in the grass on the airfield going, we have no comms with BLT.
Like, where's that entire infantry company that was supposed to be landing here,
and then we get comms up, and we're like, they're stuck in Turkey. So we sat there and started doing advanced sniper stuff, putting our ghillie suits on and heading out and trying to figure out what was going on. And dude, there was AAA uploaded all around the airfield, but then just like a movie, and I've got pictures of this stuff, it's crazy. You'd see helmets and boots and magazines and shit laying everywhere. Like there was still hot chow in the chow halls because they heard the 46s and 53s and the Cobras coming in that night. And the propaganda from the South, from Saddam's goons, was, hey, we're beating the Americans in the South. Stay strong, stay strong. Yeah. And all of a sudden they hear,
and they're like, oh no, they're getting crushed.
They lied to us. We're fucking out of here. And dude, they hauled ass. So yeah.
Who was the unit that was in Turkey? Do you remember the battalion landing teams? Like which battalion it was?
Man, who the hell was it? Was it 2-2? It might have been the Warlords with us. I'd have to look back, I think.
And this was in 2000 what?
2003. First push in.
Okay, so early.
April 2003, before anybody even knew it was happening. We're already out there staging. So
Jesus.
Yeah. But
that's crazy.
But yeah, so that's where all these IEDs came from, and that's what, really that was the way to fight at that point. Now you got to go from, you can't be conventional military against the US, you're not going to win. So now let's go into this guerrilla kind of,
That's like the insurgency stuff really started kicking off. Yeah. Now, so just to go back, I know we bounce around a little bit, to go back to that rooftop, what you said it's like a turkey shoot. They're bussing dudes in there. how many? You said there was 2 days. That firefight was 2 days long.
Yeah.
Did you guys have chow and water with you? Like,
I had a power bar, an old crusty power bar in my backpack, and that's the only reason my camera came out back to why I was filming, because on the Little Birds I always have my camera systems in there, so if I fly over something I see it, we're documenting everything, and every day we bring back into a dump to S2.
Okay.
So we're in Najaf now, and I've got my little Camelback with my little camera and my water and stuff and some other shit. And I lay down, start shooting, and I remember started getting a little hungry. And there was a lull in the fight, so I grabbed this power bar and I was like, oh shit, there's my camera. And all of a sudden the fighting started happening again, really heavy. So I pulled my camera out. I was like, I'm just gonna turn this on, because at that point it wasn't like I'm gonna film this. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Instagram. It was like I'm gonna record. I'm gonna hit record, because in the event somebody finds this camera one day, I want them to know what happened here.
Oh,
it was that.
Jesus.
It was that mentality. So when people watch that video, don't think of it as a 2025 influencer trying to make money on a freaking video or trying to share combat horrors. It was I need to document this at this point. Why are airstrikes canceled? Why are medevacs canceled? I got a U.S. Marine with a freaking gunshot wound through his lung and into his spine, sitting there on the ground, bleeding out and not going unconscious, and we can't get a 9-line brief to go through. Why is this happening? Wow. Is this literally our last day on Earth?
Yeah.
Dude. And that's where that video came from.
That's wild. So, I can't imagine what it must have been going through your head up there on that roof, hitting that record button. Like, cause that right there is like, I hope someone finds this and they know what happens to us. Like,
I don't think you consciously think that way in the time. I think back, and I think that was a subconscious action, you know.
Yeah.
Just like everything was just subconscious. It was just another firefight for us, really, until it started getting surreal, until you started seeing blood streaks all over the roof, until you started seeing all the brass, until you started seeing, hey, has anybody got any ammo left? No. Oh shit. Okay. Hey, my gun's seizing up, man. I'm like, I can't, this thing is not working. Hey, do you got any gun oil? No. So like, I laugh about that. I always tell a story about the oil and the Vietnam helmets and the little band. And we always laugh like, why are you carrying oil with you? Well, guess what I always carry with me now? Gun oil. Because you never know. It's like, I don't expect to shoot. I think I fired almost like 700 plus rounds or something like that out of a sniper rifle.
700 rounds
in that fight. And,
what was this thing chambered in?
It was 5.56, but we were running Black Hills Mark 262.
Okay.
77 grain ammo, good precision stuff.
Wow.
Running a 20-inch rifle, kind of like the Marine Corps DMR rifles with a Leopold Mark IV scope on it, match trigger. So it ran fine. I mean,
yeah.
But I never shot a 5.56 past 500 meters, because the Marine Corps said, that's it. There's your last berm. Shoot that and don't worry about anything beyond it. And it's like, well, why don't we give it a shot and try and see what we're capable of? It has no energy. It still has over 400 feet-pounds per inch at that distance. So, yes, it can still kill somebody. I mean, now we print groups at 1,200 meters with 5.56 just for fun.
Yeah.
So if again, lessons learned. If I could go back with even an eighth of the knowledge that I know now on that rooftop, I would have shot way less, because I would have hit more. So I would say tons of misses, just like, life in general, you're going to miss. And until I started building the range card, lasing things out, and a few hours into it, I finally started dialing the gun down and pushing insurgents back into windows. And then I was able to smash them through windows and hit the bus, and had a guy, there's actually a feed on my Instagram where a French reporter embedded with the Mahdi army that day. Scumbags. And so they were following this kid from UK that wanted to kill the infidel. And they have this whole documentary on this 21-year-old kid.
Wow.
Who never fired a gun in his life. And the first weapon system they give him is an RPG. And you'll see the documentary and the subtitle say, go kill the American sniper, kill the American sniper. So he crosses the street and gets behind this tin shed, this tin roof piece, and then pops up, and you see him drop to the ground. They start screaming, shooting back at us, and they drag his bloody body out. And that was a shot I took on him.
Wow.
And I remember that shot very clearly. And then 10 years later, a buddy sends me this documentary from the French. I'm like, what the hell is this? And I was like, at first I'm like, fuck that guy. When I saw it, I was like, God damn, that's cool. I saw something finally from the other perspective.
Yeah.
And then I was like, and then I watched the documentary, and I just broke down crying. And I'm like, that kid had no fucking idea what he was fighting for.
No.
None.
Yeah.
So
he was captured. And a lot of these young,
in his mind.
Yeah, his mind was captured, and like a lot of these folks, and you see it probably a lot now, I'm sure, like it's probably been happening all over. I mean, there's kids that get pulled into being child soldiers all over the place in Africa. They don't know any better. They just don't have any parents. They don't have any mentors. They don't have any leaders, and they get kidnapped, and then they get forced to do this stuff, or they're convinced that they need to do this, wage this war.
They drug the shit. I mean, as soon as I was in Africa for a few times, and I got a front row seat to that too, man. And you'd see them go into villages at night and cut the nipples off so they can't breastfeed the babies. They most likely kill the men or torture the shit out of them and take the kids and then
there's some
juice
real
them up.
Yeah, there's some like horrors beyond all human comprehension happening in some of these darker places in the world that people never hear about or see.
Cannibalism's still a thing there.
Yeah, nuts. Yeah. And that's because there's probably, partially because there's maybe a lack of food, and they may resort to that. But there's some real human atrocities happening out there.
It's just power. It's like if you walk into a village with an AK-47 on a significant scale from 0 to 10, you're a 10.
Yeah, you become more significant to them. Yeah.
So, and then the next term starts, killing is power. And so if I walk in and start killing and taking your children, like I am the power. I'm the rebel, I'm the government, I'm whoever. Yeah. And again, that's why I think a lot of us are, our conviction of what we believe in, the freedoms that we have. It's like, dude, we've seen, like that's everywhere else in the world for the most part.
Yeah.
And we don't want that coming here. And it's very easy for that to happen. But anyways.
Yeah, especially if you get to a point where there's like a lack of resources, or like if like there's no police, or there's no laws, or there's no this, that, and the other, like, or if the power grid goes down for a few days in the entire country, like people start turning into animals.
People complain about police. Okay. If the police went on strike for one day in this country, every cop just said, you know what, screw you guys. You want to think that we're the enemy here? Watch what happens. There would be complete lawlessness in this country.
Totally.
Overnight, man. Yeah. And those are the kind of catalysts that need to happen sometimes to wake people up, because otherwise it just keeps chipping away at itself, and the next thing you know, it's gone forever.
Yeah. People start taking an inch and an inch and an inch until they get a mile.
Like UK, like Canada, like Australia, like all of our friends, man, and partners. So.
How did you guys end up getting out of there? What ended up happening to?
So we fought our ass off for 2 days. One of the corporals there, Corporal Lonnie Young, savage guy, calm dude. Okay. And there's a lot of guys that we'd say, hey, you're a gunfighter. You don't have a choice, right? These are calm dudes. They're not their combat MOS. It's not, they weren't trained to jump on machine guns, but
they're Marine riflemen.
Guys like him would jump on it and just run hard. And we had like an Army captain got shot twice by the sniper. Lonnie goes over, turns into a medic. He's not a medic, right? But he's trying to get this guy to stay alive. He puts him on his shoulder, runs down the stairs, goes to our ASP downstairs in one of our offices, grabs 150 pounds of ammo, runs back up 6 flights of stairs, distributes ammo to everybody, shoots 800 rounds out of his saw, lets it cool while he's jamming mags for everybody else, gets back on the saw. One of our operators got hit through the mouth, blew his mouth apart. Man, there's blood everywhere. Like a lot of the pictures you'll see of that fight, you'll see blood all over the rooftops. That's just from the mouth shot. And so
faces bleed a lot.
Head wounds. Like don't if you ever look at yourself in the mirror like, oh my God, don't worry, it just bleeds a lot. You're not gonna die. So Lonnie runs over, turns into a medic, and again pinches his carotid artery off in his mouth, keeps him alive until Doc gets up there, throws him on his shoulder. Now they're pinching and carrying him down 6 flights of stairs, or 6 stories, to the little hasty aid station. Runs, gets more ammo, water, chow. Meanwhile, we didn't even know that he was shot by the sniper through his arm and top of his lung and into his right next to his spine, if I remember. And he still carried and did all that stuff after. Ran the captain down, ran the ammo up, ran the freaking.
And he had been shot.
Ran the ammo up. Yes. And so he kept doing that over and over. That to me just exudes the greatest, we say honor and courage. No, it's not courage. That's vulnerability. Yeah. That's being susceptible to anything bad in your life, no matter what the cost. You're gonna fight your ass off, and that's what he showed us that day. Like, it's easy for us to say, like, in a situation that bad, man, are we gonna be strong enough to make it through this? And then you see a dude like hit right across the roof with a gunshot wound under sniper fire, and you're like, doesn't matter, because strength's your only option right now. And that's what that mentality, that action, that commitment showed us all. And, even at night, one of the guys was like, man, we're not going to fucking make it through the night. And about an hour later, one of the guys, his former SEAL, he looks up, and he's videoing at this point. It's on YouTube somewhere. And he's sitting there and he's filming the moon, and he goes, I wonder what happened if I shot an AT-4 at the moon.
Just thinking of random stuff like that.
We didn't rehearse that. You just laughed your ass off. What do you think everybody on the rooftop did that night? Right?
Probably laughed their ass off.
And so that humor, just which we're good at doing in bad situations, made us go, we're not done. We ain't done. And so that mentality the hard work. I mean, Lonnie was put in for the Silver Star.
Was he really?
I don't know if he got it or not, but he was put in for it. Yeah, he was losing consciousness. And then I said, man, I'm not going to let a Marine die in front of me. We got to get him out of here. And they're like, there's no medevacs. And I'm like, hey, Hack, what if we strap him to Little Bird and take him out of here to Baghdad? And you and I can jump over to the pad, get more ammo, get more water, and then fly right back down here. And he's like, that's risky, Travis. He goes, we need to keep as many guns here as possible. I'm like, I said, that's why only me and you go. And he's like, well, I need a co-pilot. I'm like, I understand that. And he's like, well, I'm willing to do it. He goes, but you're going to have to ride shotgun for me and keep me alive. Because if he gets shot, I'm sitting right next to him with the saw. So I'm flying back 100 feet, 100 knots, just trying to make sure that he doesn't get hit. We strap Lonnie in the front seat so he can't, move. We strap him down. He's losing consciousness most of the flight. Get him back to the pad, take him off the bird, put him on the stretcher with the docs, hit him on the chest, and he fist bumps me like nothing happened. And then I walked like 10 feet backwards staring at him as he's walking away. I strap back in to the Little Bird, and Little Bird takes off, and he's just like this the whole way going into the cast. And I'm like, fuck yes, that's a Marine. That's fucking, you ain't got to be some special operations fucking badass to be a badass. And I share that with all military personnel. Like,
and that was a calm Marine.
Because, it's like, yeah, a lot of guys get bought. Oh, you're a pogue. It's like, yeah. And then there's Lonnie Young.
He was a calm Marine.
I dare you to call him a I dare you to call him a pogue.
That's what I'm saying. Like, man, dude, there are some. Yeah, I dare you to call. I dare you to call that dude a pogue. Yeah, there's so many incredible individuals that I've encountered that just have unbelievable stories and feats of heroism that have not been documented or talked about because they weren't soft. They weren't like some. Super
he wasn't
high
taken
speed
care
dude.
of. He didn't live a good life, and that bullet reminds him every day, and it's a lot of pain for guys. So he won't tell that story, and I encourage him to because those are tremendous footsteps to follow in.
Tremendous.
So that's why I share for them.
And that kind of stuff inspires other people to volunteer to serve too, because they're like, I want to be like that guy. There's a lot of people that may come from, whatever walk of life, and they may like be looking for something to like aspire to be like. They want that example. Maybe they don't have a father. Maybe they don't have parents at all. Maybe they live with their grandparents, and they're like, I don't have any good male role models. But then maybe they come across that story of that guy, and they're like, I want to be like that guy. I want to be brave. I want to be brave. I want to be courageous. I want to be tenacious. Yeah. I want to have, these character traits that these people embody, but I don't feel like I have that. What do I need to do to get there?
Yeah. It exudes the greatest sense of duty and justice, when you see people doing that.
Yeah.
And that was just the biggest motivator for us as we flew back in by ourselves to land and just go right back into the fight.
How was the flight back?
Fast as hell.
I bet you're hauling
We didn't
ass.
even shut down. We popped over. Literally, our pad was right next to the cast. We land, we refuel, rearm, re-equip, and try to get back off the ground as heavy as possible, just barely clear the trees again. And we zipped down and just came in hot, landed, and went right back to work until an Anglo team came in. And if I remember right, the major's like, what the fuck is going on in the city? We're like, hey, man, welcome to the Alamo, bro. Get in here and start dropping bombs, bro.
Yeah.
No comms. So,
no comms.
Yeah, they had, but they couldn't get approved, and they couldn't get the Apaches to come back. They did get the Apaches to come back on the first day, and they just sat there, and we're like, hey, there's a sniper. This is when the sniper was popping off at us. So I'm in a duel with this guy. I'm trying to find him in the window. He's about 300 meters away, if I remember, 250 to 300. And so he was in the third window down. And so I'm trying to get into a position because he's getting pretty effective. So I'm hunting for him as everybody else is getting shot up, and Lonnie's doing his thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, hey, we got Anglicos here. We need an Apache to just destroy that. Well, it's a hospital. We can't shoot a hospital. And I'm like, no, it is no longer a hospital.
It has become a bunker.
And so we got 3 guys that are shot by this sniper. And so the Apache comes in, sits there, like literally 200 meters off the hospital, just like, and we're like, dude, light it up. Alpha, I think it was Alpha 3. And, he's like, negative, not authorized to engage. We don't see anything. I'm like, he's in, just, dude, I don't care what your thermals or anything see. Just pump that building full of heat and he'll leave or kill his ass.
Yeah.
Negative. And out of fuel.
Bounce. And then they started coming again.
Yeah. So they're smart, and they know the Army can't shoot at them at that point in time in those situations. So they're smart. They choose a hospital or a mosque. And those days you just couldn't go blowing those things up.
Or school or something, yeah.
Right. Yep. Ambulances.
They're still using that tactic right now
in
different places out there.
It's effective.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, that's and then we all started pushing. Then an SFODA team came in finally, and then we started being able to get us cleared out to the east to where we could push everybody back and then run air coverage to get the convoys of that group back.
Okay.
Because in the beginning you have Camp Golf and Camp Echo. Everybody had already retreated back 20 clicks east to the other camp, and then as they were getting ready to move the rest of the people out that were left over, they swarmed them and surrounded it. And that's when they were like, hey, we're not going to make it through the night. And then fast forward us coming in to try to help that. So nobody from here came over.
So
they weren't authorized. They were not even authorized to come and re-support us in that fight, from what I understand.
Camp Golf, Camp Echo. Was it Camp Echo that got surrounded?
I think yes. And then I believe, I'd have to look at the map, but it's
tough
out
to
there.
say. One of the camps
was
got
back
surrounded.
20 clicks east, yeah, and then our camp that we fought in was surrounded for those 2 days.
Okay, and so once that ODA team got there, they were able to help you guys kind of bust your way out.
And then that way, because I think that's when Big Army started getting involved, because we're now making a scene. And,
okay.
I believe, I'll say it out loud, I don't think anybody was supposed to come out alive that day. Because of the shady shenanigans, I'll leave it at that. Because again, it's not. I know a lot about this. I know a lot of the background stuff.
Yeah.
One of the things that Phil was trying to do was to rally up the chief of police there for the city of Najaf and say, hey, look, you need to pick. You need to be on the side of the coalition. You cannot let Muqtada al-Sadr do this. He's going to take over your people. He's already doing it. He's already beating your people and killing cops. Whose side are you on? He said, I promise you that we have decided we're on the side of the coalition. They have that meeting. I think it was a week before this went down. The chief of police goes out, gets in his car, IED kills his ass. So now it feels like we're done. There's nothing we can do. We're screwed.
The city's done.
A week later, the city falls down. Yeah, so all the cops ran and went to the Mahdi army, and so that's why it was a complete shit show, Alamo situation.
That's crazy.
And then, of course, U.S. Marines comes in and goes, yeah, we're gonna take care of this.
So the Marines went back in later
like
after
the big
that.
cemetery fight you always hear about, the famous cemetery fight in Najaf, the U.S. Marine Corps. That was when they just came in and plowed and then pushed Muqtada al-Sadr out finally. And then being an Iranian, he goes back to Tehran and he gets groomed for, I think, almost 8 years. When we pull out of Iraq, guess who comes in and runs the country? So we let that happen. So there's connections to all this. Yeah. Why do we hate Iran so bad? I don't know. Why did we do that? Why did Iran immediately start taking over Iraq as soon as we came in? There's a bigger story behind it. And my personal thoughts is, I'm not going to share it all because it takes time. Yeah. It's a 100-year war. It's been planned for a long time. So every conflict you see right now, in my opinion, is directly connected in some way.
To Iran?
No, Iran's just the thorn in the side. Okay. Who's the biggest? I'll just keep it at this. Who's the biggest economy in the Middle East? Like what group of Muslims, Arabs, countries? The Sunnis.
Yeah.
Kuwait, UAE, Saudi Arabia, the list goes on and on, right? You have the semi-Semitic Turks in the north. You have Israel, the Jews. Mm-hmm. You have and the Shia. So the Shia has always been a thorn in the side. Been a thorn in the side to Saddam, everybody else. So I think in order for us to maintain an economic and defense stronghold in the Middle East, we have to play monopoly a little bit and make sure that we can take advantage of the biggest economic population of people in the Middle East. Yeah. That's how wars are. It's just a thing, right? We do have to protect our economic assets, but to what end? And I think it's just getting out of control. Yeah.
Then the majority of Iranians in Iran are Shia, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and that's why Saudi Arabia and Iran don't see it eye to eye at all.
That's right.
And why a lot of the stuff that's been going on in Yemen, for example, like, the Iranian influence on the Houthis, for example, mm-hmm. the Houthis were fighting like Saudi Arabian supported folks that were part of the actual like Yemeni government before the civil war broke out. A lot of people don't understand any of the nuances that are happening there either, because it's nobody
deep,
really
man.
Talk. It's so deep.
You have to read so many history books to try to even put some of the pieces together. And then it's you will never know the real story, but there's always going to be that story. The economic, I mean, there's a reason why the CIA works for the State Department and not the Department of Defense.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So
there's a lot that's going on there. And there's a big concern that Iran is still and has been trying to influence the Iraqi government. even till now.
Oh, they have.
I mean, there's a massive influence.
I don't think there's a question.
No, yeah, I don't think there's a question either.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been people have been openly discussing that for a while now, and there's a real concern that they've got like plants inside of the Iraqi parliament and all this other stuff, which I hope that's not the case. But it's weird because Iran and Iraq fought a civil war before, I think it was like before the 80s.
It was in the 80s.
Yeah, and
late
it was
70s and 80s, I think.
It was like literal human waves and trench warfare.
You should see it.
It was
flown over.
Unbelievable.
Eastern? Would that be Eastern Iraq?
Yeah, Eastern Iraq, yeah.
Western Iraq, on the Iranian border.
Yeah, right on
whichever direction that is.
Yeah, Eastern Iraq,
dude,
Western
the trenches are still there, and they're massive, bro. You can like fly. We always run the little birds down the border, and you would see these. You could like almost make a movie in your head and see troops down there in these giant like trench warfare situations.
It's like World War I human waves.
Yeah. Miles and miles, hundreds and hundreds of miles of tank traps and just everything you can. It was incredible on both sides of the border, just facing each other. And you could see where they would just slaughter each other all day long.
It was a bloodbath.
Yeah.
From the way what I've read up on it, it was an absolute bloodbath. And nobody knows about that. Most people. I've talked to very few people who've ever even brought it up or said that was a thing, because most people just don't know a lot about what's happening in the world. And that's one of the reasons why I do the things that I do, because I think it's important to have situational awareness.
And you not knowing is a part of the plan.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
From a security standpoint and a control power standpoint.
Yeah, 100%. Especially nowadays where like literally the information space and like information war is probably one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful thing that's happening right now, because there are, I mean, and everybody's doing it. Everybody's waging the information war in their own way, regardless of what country it is. But like, whether or not you want to participate in that war isn't up to you. You're already a participant, no matter who you are.
Social control.
You're in the war right now.
That's
everyone that's watching this video on whatever platform they're watching it on, there's an active war right now that the American people and every other country on the face of the earth are involved in, whether they want to believe it or acknowledge that it's happening or not.
Well, I'll say this to that point, because that's great. You bring that up. The greatest thing about America is it's the greatest garden in the world. Like the old ancient warriors that would cultivate their gardens. They'd eat from it. They'd grow from it. They build their cultures and communities around it. It was their peace, man. And they always loved to come back to their garden. And because it was so peaceful, we would always grab our shields and swords and leave to go fight intruders and evil. The problem is that intruders and evil are now inside the garden.
Yep.
That's a fact. I'm not trying to paranoid anybody or scare anybody with that. I'm just trying to make, I talk about this in all my speeches is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. And that's to prepare your thoughts, man, your words, your actions for the future. That eagle's eye perspective that we have to have. And if you want to learn about anything that you're seeing in the news that's happening right now in our country in that format, whether it's mass immigration or the Sharia law that's everybody's talking about and going crazy, which is a real threat, that's extremist religion. I'm not just calling out Islam. Any extremist religion is none of my business, right? In my country, in my garden.
Like fundamentalist Christianity is just as bad
in
a lot of ways.
Yeah, we're the most devastating freaking religion in the world, dude. You look back in history, we've killed more people, I think, than a lot.
Killed a lot of people.
So don't forget that. And so know our own history before you start to challenge or judge others.
Yeah.
But that's what I worry about for the first time in my life in 50 years on this earth, man, is I've never seen that before, and now we're seeing it. There's always been evil here, right? But now it's growing to a point where, what are you hearing around the world? We're waiting for our orders. Okay, that's been what the Caliphate's mission for 100 plus years. They said that. You see documentaries back then of them saying, "Hey, we can't win against your tanks and bombs, but we will breed you out. We will win through the wombs of our women." That's their first rule, and then the next two rules continue, and the next thing you know, they're in politics. And
look at New York.
There we go. And now you have Sharia law. And when they asked him the other day on the news, when they said, "Hey, why can't you strike the word jihad out of your vocabulary?" We don't want to. I don't want to talk political here. I'm like, that's not political. That's a straight up asked question. You better answer it. And he can't answer it. So therefore, at what point do you classify somebody as a terrorist?
Yeah, because not all Muslims are terrorists. I met my Uber driver on the way here. Well, actually, no, he wasn't Muslim. That's a bad example. But I do know some other Muslims from Iran that came here from Iran that are not fundamentalist Muslims.
No,
like
no.
just the Sufis, for example.
One of my best friends is Muslim.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and he's phenomenal. He'll sit there and say, this is not the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, then people argue, well, no, he's still Muslim. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but he's not a fundamentalist. He's not doing the literal translation is a completely different type of Islam than. Yeah.
He's not going to harbor, you know, the 1%ers that come in this country. That's what you got to worry about in places like Dearborn, Michigan, and places that are absolutely falling apart and that are over 55, 60% Muslim control. Yeah. Okay. If you want to come to this country and be Muslim, I love you. Fellow American. Yeah. If you want to come to this country and take over a city and then incorporate Sharia law, which is designed to replace our Constitution, that's the worst thing you could even say in a sentence.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean that it's like, hey, you can't be here, or that you're not accepted into America. America is a melting pot for a reason, and as long as you're not clashing with our Constitution and you're compatible, and we can have a symbiotic relationship as Americans here in this country, I've got no issue with that. And I think most Americans probably don't. But if you come here and you're trying to fundamentally change America because you believe that it's bad, or it's like founded in racism or founded on these terrible principles, then you're probably not it's probably not gonna work out.
Then why did you come here?
Why did you come here?
One word, jihad. That's why you came here then, because you have to fit into one of those two categories. Yeah. And for America, one's a good idea and one's a very bad idea. And so I don't think that's good for anybody's physiology, man, when we're running around trying to fight that war, because nobody knows how to fight that war.
No, because there's a lot of this, a lot of people are calling it suicidal empathy, which happens a lot as well, because as Americans, a lot of the time, we try to be considerate of other human beings. We're trying to do the right thing. We're trying to take care of people, trying to be considerate of other religions, races, peoples, creeds, nationalities, because we have seen what oppression looks like, whether it was, in the founding of the country, or for people that have gone overseas and seen what oppression looks like there. A lot of people that flee to this country are fleeing oppression. You'll never meet a Cuban in Florida who thinks communism is good.
Right.
You won't.
I'm from Florida, trust me.
Yeah,
I agree with you 100%.
The Cubans, I swear to God, the Cubans are some of the most pro-capitalist people you'll ever meet in your life. My grandfather was actually Cuban, surprisingly. He came from Cuba. And so a lot of people fled there. Same thing for a lot of these old Soviet bloc nations that flee to America for a better life. They are very staunch anti-communism or staunch anti-socialists, Same thing for people that come here that are fleeing China, or any of these people that have fled Vietnam that came here out post-Vietnam when it collapsed in the early 70s, 75, I think it was, when Vietnam collapsed. A lot of these folks, they come here, they're like, hey, dude, I don't want anything to do with that. I've seen what it does. I've seen what happens with the bread lines. I've seen what happens when the resources run out of other people's stuff,
other people's money.
The government starts taking people's lives because there's not enough to go around.
What's the quote? Socialism's great until you run out of other people's money.
Yeah, exactly. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, communism has resulted in hundreds of millions of deaths. If you look at what Mao Zedong did in China, or what Stalin did in Russia, I mean, some of the most profane, unbelievable human atrocities that have happened on the earth happen as a result of communism. And so this is like you said, this is the last stand, bro. America is the Alamo, as far as I'm concerned. This is the last place on earth where there is real hope to continue to have freedom and prosperity for people.
And what people need to know is it's now, which means it's
right now.
Not potentially. I think we're at the point where it is your life.
Yeah.
And you can't avoid it. You can't deny it. I'm not saying step up and start fighting. I'm saying just be aware, right? And prepare your thoughts and words for the actions that we may have to take as a nation.
Yeah.
Because look at the Marine Corps birthday speeches and the videos you're seeing, war is nothing more than just taking something from somebody else that you want. And fundamentally speaking, well, guess what? It might be time to take something back that we had. And people can't fathom that. And again, I'm not trying to start a revolution. I'm just trying to say eventually these things, if you want to learn about what happens in the next 50 years in this country, just read history books.
Yep.
That's it.
You got to be aware of things that took place in the past in order to have a good way of conceiving or perceiving what's happening right now. Because you'll notice patterns of things that happened in the past where societies began going down that socialist road and they started to disintegrate. And part of that is losing your culture, because and also part of it, you also mentioned it, the birth rate stuff, like outbreeding you and stuff like that. That's a real thing. Like population decline is affecting every single country in the European Union right now. I think I read somewhere that no country survived as a culture who was not having at least a 3% growth or something to that degree as far as birth rates.
And we're way less than that
and
right now.
Every country in the EU is 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. America is definitely less than that for sure, because you have to make babies.
And some cultures are 6 to 1.
Yep. Some cultures are 6 to 1, and Africa is one of them. Africa's breeding way more than Americans are, and there's way more danger there, and it's way less security, and way more poverty, and way less food to go around, and there's freaking warlords running around killing people and doing barbaric stuff like that.
Why do you think China owns all of Africa, and why do you think most of the child sex trafficking in the world runs through some of those places?
Probably, yeah. And that's that's why there's a lot of folks out there that are encouraging Americans to have more kids and get married and settle down and stay off the internet. Don't pay money to the OF people that are out there. Don't toss money that way. Don't be involved with that. Don't get involved in it if you're a female either. Settle down, find somebody that's stable, that has a good head on their shoulders, and make as many babies as you can. Build a fortress, build your own castle, build a house, build a business, open a business, do something to contribute to society, because there's all this noise out there that's distracting us from that stuff, which is the most valuable thing you can do to contribute to this American plan, or whatever you want to call it. I guess the great American experiment, because if we're not making enough babies, somebody else is going to do it for us.
I've got 7, so I'm doing pretty good.
7's quite a few. I'm doing pretty good. You're not firing blanks, it sounds like.
I am now. But I did that. Make sure I can. It's eventually I gotta grow up, man. And no, I mean it's been awesome watching my kids grow into what they become.
What age are they?
Oh boy,
that's a lot to remember.
27, 28 almost. 20, 21. Well, Hayden's turning 21 this month. My youngest son is 19. He's joining Border Patrol, going BORTAC.
Oh, nice.
He wants to fight from inside while his brother fights from outside, and I thought that was a good combination. And,
yeah. See, I love that. It's your family contributes to American society so much. It's pretty.
I didn't even tell him. I try to talk him out of it. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Just say, are you sure you want to do that? And then, of course, I'd have him work with all the teams and go out, because we were exposed to all the different branches and federal agencies, and I let them make their own decision. And it's just if I try to tell my dad, hey, Dad, I'm sorry, but eventually I'm going to turn 18, right? So if you're telling me no, you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to join. And so I'm never going to tell my kids no if that's what they want to do. So I decided, well, okay, I'm going to give you as much as I possibly can that I think is the most important thing for you to know right now going into the military. And trust me, none of that's going to be tactical. None of that's going to be weapons. None of that's going to be, of course it is, right? Because they live in a world of R&D and weapons and training.
A world of R&D.
But all my kids can toss nods on right now and do it all. And so, they're worldly traveled. I think my youngest son, he's been to over 15 countries, worked in Cambodia with underprivileged kids by himself, been to Oxford University for entrepreneurial camps. And he's just like, Dad, I just want to do these things. I love to travel. Lives in Alaska, working with sled dogs. I did a ride in the summertime in a cabin at the base of Denali. And I'm like, dude, you're a loner. You need to be on the line. You need to be a Border Patrol guy, K9. And he's like, that's what I'm going to do. My oldest son, Travis Jr., he's working on becoming a professional fisherman, and he's damn good.
No kidding, a professional fisherman?
Yeah, and journeyman electrician, followed in my footsteps and my dad's, on the electrical side of the house.
What's it? What? How does a professional fisherman make money?
Sponsors and
just
like I guess we would, making affiliate programs, things like that.
Okay,
catching big ass fish and doing competitions and
how old is he?
All that. He's 28.
28?
Yeah, I think next month, January.
How long has he been doing the professional fisherman thing?
He's been doing it for a while. He's gotten serious in the last 5 or 6 years, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Just had a grandbaby, so I'm a grandpappy now.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, he's got a little boy.
That's your oldest?
Trenton. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Bertoni, she has 4 kids that are I'm the step up dad, so
gotcha.
bonus dad, and she's got a 19, almost 20. She's got 17, 16, and 14 are daughters, our youngest.
Wow.
Yeah, and she's talking about wanting to go in the military. Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you tell her to go into the Air Force or the Space Force?
She already said that. She goes, I'm going to go Air Force. I'm not a Marine. I said, I had nothing against you.
I got nothing against you for that, yeah.
I'd rather you not, honestly. Because if you'd asked, I'd have said Air Force.
Yeah, just whisper the Air Force. And yeah, it's so funny. I got a lot of buddies who have kids, and their kids have joined, and they were like, please join the Air Force.
Yeah.
Don't follow my footsteps. Join the Air Force.
But I had Hayden work with all the different units. I had him work with SEAL teams. Had him work with some Delta guys. Had him work with some SF guys. Goes to all my training classes. Gets to talk to everybody. And eventually he's like, I want to go recon, Dad. I'm like, okay, you're going to get a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Get it. And he's killing it, man. He's crushed it. Meritorious Lance Corporal on the parade deck at boot camp, Iron Man, Honor Grad, high shooter, kicking my ass and my brothers. And so already went through the pipeline, went through jump school, combat dive school, going to free fall school here next.
The way you say it, you breeze through it, makes it sound like it's easy, right? Because
it's not, dude.
It is unbelievably challenging.
400. I think he said he had like 400. Don't quote me on this, but like 440 Marines that went into RTAP, and then only 42 made it to go to BRC.
That's what I'm saying. That's like going through the basic reconnaissance course is a very difficult, arduous task, and it's not for the faint of heart.
And I will say that not just because of being biased, but because you got to be a little bit as a recon Marine.
Sure.
But a lot of other branch service would say that even though we're not a part of the SOCOM pipeline, it's one of the hardest pipelines.
Yeah.
Because it's so systemized. Now they're doing really well. Of course, we're not perfect, right? We got a lot of things to fix, and always problems are going to happen. But watching the community grow as it has really made me proud as hell. It's almost words can't describe looking at the reconnaissance community and where it's going.
Yeah.
So that's cool. That's cool. Marine Corps as a whole. I mean, I really think it's now that we've gotten over some of the shitty speed bumps, I think we're now picking up some speed, and we'll see what happens.
I think the Marine Corps has done a very good job of staying focused on warfighting as like their main purpose, other than the second purpose I'll say is the main purpose is the fact that like the Marine Corps does a very good job of taking people under their wing and then producing better citizens for the United States. Because whether you do 4 years or 40 years, like your time in the Marine Corps will probably make you better as a citizen of America than you were prior to joining.
Yeah.
And oftentimes there's people that come from all walks of life that they join the Marine Corps. Maybe they didn't have parents, maybe they didn't have any mentors or leaders, and then maybe they get that leadership example in the Marine Corps, and then when they get out, even if it's at 4 years, they are more responsible. Typically, they're typically more mature. They usually have a better head on their shoulders, and they have a better understanding of the world around them. And they also typically want to help people and do something that makes their communities better.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty big part of, because you see Marines doing this all the time. Like somebody rescues someone on the side of the road, their car's on fire and they're pulling them out of the car. Like just all kinds of crazy stuff happening. And you see Marines get recognized and get some medals pinned on their chest because of some, amazing community service that they did just because they saw somebody in need, and
we carry
we
carry the principles for the rest of our life.
Yeah. And I think that's huge. One of the last things I want to kind of dive into a little bit before we close out is, so you worked you were the CEO of Magpul what was your company before Magpul?
Simply Dynamics.
Simply Dynamic, and then you went over, you got in touch with the guy that was running Magpul, and then you called it Magpul Dynamics.
Yeah.
How long was it Magpul Dynamics for?
Well, it was always Magpul, and then when he asked me to help him with a training company, I came in and we said, well, hey, here's how it's going to work. If you want me on board as full time, yes, I'll be the founder with you on Magpul Dynamics. I'll run that side of the business. You continue to run Magpul. And of course I'm going to help because it's just like Haley Strategic Training and Haley Strategic Partners, right? One's an equipment manufacturer and research and development center. And then one is specifically mobile training, international, national stuff.
Okay.
And then they just help each other out. So we did that with Magpul Dynamics. And then shortly after the Obama craze came, and we did that first experiment with the films and the old Art of the Carbine, Art of the Handgun, and we did that because when he said, hey, what do you think we should do? I really want to get into media stuff. I'm like, so do I, man. And so we started another company, Randori Media, to go out, and we had a great partner company, Eric Katzenberg and the guys from the Discovery Channel. They had their own company, Legion Productions, and then they came in and said, hey, we'll provide all the stuff, and you guys provide the talent. And what do you want to do? I said, well, we need to let Americans know that they can come out and do this stuff. All right. That was the biggest issue we found at the time. It wasn't like, hey, what's the next product we're going to make? Hey, how do we make more money on training? I'm looking around going, there isn't any training. There isn't. I mean, everybody could be able to train in their own states, in their own backyards, at ranges, if people just understood we could do this as Americans. And there was, small groups of people at the time still out training, but we said, let's film a class. So that way when a viewer watches it, they can relate to somebody in that class, the cop, the military guy, the stay-at-home mom we had in classes, everybody, man. It was fantastic. And so it wasn't this video format where you're listening to me talking head on a camera. It was like, no, we're teaching a class, and dude, just come in and film it. And that experiential marketing aspect is something that I studied with BMW when they did their Clyde Owen big Guy Ritchie films. They were 6-minute shorts, and they turned into massive multi-million hits because it was just experiential. You never saw anything about BMW. It was just an action scene with Clyde Owen and Madonna one scene, and then it was like another one. And that increased BMW sales like 12% that year. So I'm thinking like, okay, I don't like money, but that's a cool thing because I got to make this work. Otherwise I'm going to get fired as the owner. And we ended up spending 6 figures plus on that first film, and which was like, wait, what's this going to cost? Yeah. And so we were scared because of the risk we took, but I said, no, I'm an entrepreneur because entrepreneurs' sole job is problem solving, not taking risk. I didn't start a company to take risk. I started a company to solve problems. And so we said, this is the biggest problem we need to solve. And then if you want to sell more PMags, more stocks, more guns, more gear in any company out there, if people are training, guess what they're going to need? They're going to need the equipment. Where right now it's just like, hey, buy this equipment. We're wondering why our sales aren't going up. So we went out and did that, and I think we sold millions of copies, man, the first year. So that showed us that, like, holy shit, we educated, we empowered, we inspired other Americans to come out and hang out with other badass Americans and have fun for 3 or 6 days on the range. And that just boom, blew up the entire industry from a media standpoint because nobody was doing anything like that.
Yeah. I
mean, you had like Kelly McCann, former Force Recon Marine back in the day, phenomenal dude. He started kind of the books and the videos way back when, and that was the only kind of stuff you could find on like Shotgun News or the Palladium Press stuff back in the day I grew up on. And so I wanted to kind of carry that on like he did. I think he was a big, after Jeff Cooper and the guys and starting to grow, it's like, well, Cooper wanted us to have the ability to defend ourselves in this nation, and he started a great thing. So it's our job now. He's gone. It's our job. Step up. So we did that. That worked fantastic. Did that for a few years. And then things started happening in the company where wasn't an alignment anymore because he was selling. He was making the big bucks now, and that's his right, man. As an owner, as a company, I mean, I could sell anytime I want. You could sell. I mean, anybody could sell a company. It's called capitalism for a reason. Yeah. Now I will never sell out. So even if I did hand a company over to somebody else, because eventually I'm not going to be out there running and gunning, man, when I'm 70, 80 years old, I got to be practical here. Yeah. So who carries that legacy on? Well, maybe it's my kids, names on the company. If they wanted to do that, that opportunity is there. If somebody else wanted to come in and take on that mission, with the 9 companies that I now own, then they're going to have to be the right person. I'm just going to sell to some acquisitions company.
Yeah, you're not just trying to make some money.
Right. So I decided to get back to my roots. And I said, well, so I always give this train analogy because the trains are weird. Like my grandfather getting on the wrong train. I grew up learning how to shoot on a train. Like not on the train, but I shot at the train because it made a very distinctive sound when you hit it with a 30-06 when you're 13 years old. At 700 yards. It was a coal train. It was safe.
Oh, okay. I was like, Jesus Christ.
I'm just kidding. I never did that. Some of my friends did. I just told the story. So I got an early age being a troublemaker. Pretty bad. I mean, I was in jail for attempted murder when I was 16. I was breaking into houses. I was that kid, man. And the judge I had saved my ass. My recruiter stood next to me because I was in a DEB program. And I was afraid I was going to lose everything. It was somebody meth head breaking into a house, and I shot them. outside the property line, which made me guilty. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, spent some time in jail as a juvie. So, I rehabilitated very quickly and still, I'm like, nothing's going to stop me from being a Marine. But now they're like, hey, you probably won't be able to join the Marines now. So, of course, I got the charge was lowered and did my time, did all my community service, did everything. And then my recruiter stood by my side and said, this kid, because we were having delayed entry meetings at my farm. Like, Marines came out there, the recruiter's like, what the fuck is this? You built an obstacle course like we've never seen before. So we'd do our PT on the farm with like the entire regiment would come in like quarterly, and we'd have, I'm 16 years old in the delayed entry program helping run Marine. I had pugil stick pits and everything, bro. I made homemade pugil sticks and had lacrosse helmets on and everything.
You have the most unusual story of like,
awesome.
Nobody has this story of joining the Marine Corps. It's just, that's the craziest thing, man.
Yeah. I was an implementer, man. I was always tinkering and building stuff. And
yeah.
I watched the movie Medicine Man real quick. Sean Connery, look it up. Incredible movie. They go down to the Amazon to try to find a cure that's up in the rainforest somewhere. And I remember watching the natives have this bag of rocks. Actually, no, they go up to the tree and they unhook this anchor and they hook it into their harness. And then they jump and they go shooting up into the tree and a bag of rocks comes down. It's a counterweight system. And I'm like, well, shit, that can't be too hard to do. So I go and tear my dad's weight set, the old iron weights apart, get some all thread screw, drill a wire anchor into the ground for guy lines on power poles because I got all this stuff from the power company. And I'm like shooting up and down this 50-foot platform and rappelling out of it, fast roping, zip lining, and I built the whole course. And I told my recruiter, I was like, hey, you want to come to my house and check out my obstacle course? He's like, yeah, whatever, kid. I said, no, seriously. And then my mom and dad were like, no, you should probably see this. This is ridiculous. And so he's like, all right, I'll take a walk out there. And he drives out and checks it out. He's like, you gotta be shitting me.
That's so funny.
And my grandfather, everybody came up with the news and media and the local newspapers would always document the Marines going through the farm. And it was called Marine Training Down on the Farm. So that's how I grew up, man. And
that's so wild.
So I've always loved giving other people an experience.
Yeah.
And just sharing it. That's the experiential stuff that I did in the films. So like in this Wild Wild West kind of scenario, I guess, where you see a train pulling into town, it's pumping smoke and everybody gets excited when it comes, and it really helps that town because it brings people you've never seen or haven't seen in a long time, food, supplies, entertainment, whatever, right? And it packs its stuff up and it heads down the tracks to the next town. I like being that train. And what happens when you get successful in business, train starts picking up speed, gets efficient, right? It's scaled, it's bigger, it's faster, it's got more people on it, more things. So you start looking out the window as an engineer of the train and go, okay, here comes another town. Yeah, what do you think, man? You're like, nah, let's go. It's not big enough. Let's go to a bigger city. So I ask people when they make that decision in business, we have to make big to stay big. I started hearing conversations like that. I'm like, that's not how you run a company. You never, ever say, we have to make more money to stay big. You never blame your people. You never blame a lack of capital. And the last thing you ever do is blame the economic environment. I tripled the size of my companies during COVID. Why? Because I said, your asses are not leaving. You will not wear a mask. Well, eventually when we figured it all out. And if you need to go home because you get sick, that's fine. Take your stuff. We'll give you PTO, but your ass better be back here. And if you don't believe in that system, then you can go find somebody else that believes in that system because this is an unapologetic American company. And so we thrived. Where everybody else did what? Blame the government, blame the economic environment. Well, if we would all stood together and say, you America, you're going to make us shut down our restaurants. You're going to make us shut down our. Why don't you try it?
Yeah.
Why don't you just try it? So when a million minnows against one shark, what happens? The shark loses.
Yeah.
So that's the concept that we need to think about as Americans. So when I digress.
No, it's okay.
But
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
So I'm in this movie, right? And I'm starting to see that, man, we're abandoning the very core people that made us this super fast train. If we don't pump the brakes and try to redesign the scaling of this machine, it's going to come off the tracks or it's going to go off the hole in the bridge like in the movie. You're going to crash that train. Yeah. And I just felt that coming. I didn't like to know the fact that I might be in a company owned by somebody else instead of the partner that I started it with. So I said, hey, I'm going to get back to my roots, man.
And this is, you're talking about Magpul.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were now when you were there, were you not the CEO of Magpul, right?
I was, but I'm not the owner.
Okay, so you were the CEO,
I was
but
brought
not
in,
the owner.
Right.
Gotcha.
I was the owner of Magpul Dynamics, and part owner with the owner of Magpul.
Okay.
And so then eventually he asked me to step up as the CEO during the big Obama surge because it was just crazy. And we double, tripled, probably quadrupled the employees and the revenues that we had overnight.
And crushing sales.
Yeah, it was insane, the amount of gear that we put out and the amount of people that we helped. But I feel like I'm not okay on these super fast trains, but I love business, I love growth, and so I decided, in my mind, I saw this hole in the train going, and I jumped. And I jumped off the train and took a beating. If I'm in this movie scenario, coming down the hill all dusty and beat up and bleeding, and I'm walking through the desert going, how in the fuck do I reintroduce myself back in the industry after that?
Yeah. How hard? Like, what was that like? Did you just say I'm done?
It was kind of the same as leaving the Marine Corps to me. That's how it felt. I wore that brand on my arm like I wore EGA on my arm, man. And because I put so much heart into everything that I do.
Yeah.
Sometimes too much, to my own demise. And
well, it's like why do something if you're not going to be all in?
I don't know any other way.
Yeah.
I really don't. And so I decided, walking through the desert in this scenario and talking to friends and mentors, and I decided after a minute, I think the best thing I should do is not start another train, but build a train station. And that's what Haley Strategic Partners is. So now we have the ability to send out trains from our headquarters, work with other companies like Safariland and Firebird and Fuller Phoenix and all the great relationships, Surefire, you name it. We collaborate, design. Our engineers and industrial designers will help with the actual design of a product. We won't just slap our name on it. And I know that's easy for me to do. And I refuse, and I've never, ever done that. I've never slapped my name on anybody else's product. Because I want it to be original. I want it to come from the innovation side of true entrepreneurship of solving a problem and being 50-50 with that other organization. So we've helped so many companies, and those companies have helped us so much. It's like this beautiful system that has really rised all ships. And just like the Magpul videos did for people being able to train. Just like, when that happens, all the other instructors and other companies out there, all of a sudden their classes are full because not everybody, I can't teach 340 million Americans, so there's all of us. And that was the second wave we did after Magpul was the Panteo video stuff, where now you could learn what you could do. The next phase is now you can learn who to train with. Here's your individual instructor library. And the next one was, hey, let's talk about these guys. So working with Bravo Company Manufacturing, Paul, former Marine, salt of the earth, best human being on the face of the planet, in my opinion, man. The guy would do anything for you. And so he and I and John Chang, guy who runs Black Powder Red Earth. We've seen the graphic novels, phenomenal stuff.
Yeah, I've seen some stuff.
Also the owner of the Dread of Fear and Kings, exquisite clothing line, all handmade in Italy, operator style stuff. Yeah. And so we got together and said, let's tell stories about these guys, these gunfighters that have sacrificed their lives so much, have bled, sweat, and cried, and now they're sharing that information with the rest of the world. Yeah, so that was the BCM Gunfighter Network we did. And now it's like iPhone updates, like what's the next media thing we do? It's like you can't do a big giant thing anymore without it just disappearing and being swallowed up. So it's a challenge.
Without being challenge. Swallowed up is a big piece, because there's such an oversaturation in every niche you could ever imagine, whether you're making pottery or you're a dancer or you're a gun tuber or any of that stuff. It's so saturated.
Well, I think people look for this strategy to try to make them successful. And I'll tell you, stop. Just stop. I mean, there's always got to be some strategy, but what comes first and foremost before that? It's the culture that you develop. Culture will always eat strategy for breakfast, right? Yeah. Whether you're a father, whether you're a mother, whether you're a business leader, whether you're a U.S. Marine, right? Since we're talking about 250 years, you want to be a better leader, then know what a leader is. And the leader is nothing more than an influence. That you taking individual responsibility for those in your surroundings. If everybody did that, like I can walk into the back of my shop and I can have my newest employee that I just hired. He's been read in, he's been in briefed, he knows the culture of the company. And I can walk by having a shitty day and he'll be like, hey, good morning, boss. I'm like, hey, good morning. What's going on? And he'll be like, hey, you doing all right today? And when he can kind of see it and I'll turn and look at him like, because maybe I just had a shitty morning or something. Or I'm like, I am now, bud. Thank you. And I walk away. That's leadership. It goes both ways. Right. So that's why I want to know. And I wish to God I could go back into my teams and know every single thing about every one of my men. Why? Because what warrior culture in history never did that? None of them. They all did that.
Yeah.
And today, you know, there's always that, well, you should never get, you know, like the old war movies, like, hey, don't, like World War II, like Fury, like, hey, it doesn't matter your name, man, because you're not going to be around long enough to know you. And I don't want to get too emotionally attached to you. What if you did, though? What if you gave so much of a shit about your brothers that you knew everything about them and that made you more compassionate towards them? And then we know that compassion is the only thing that will make you fight harder than anything else. The more you care about something, the harder you'll fight for it.
Yeah.
Like your family, right? I always give that example. Somebody tried to break in my house and kill somebody or hurt me, and I destroyed that human being. It's not because of their evil motive or intention. It's because I care about my family much more than that piece of shit.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's where compassion is the first principle of the warrior, right? It's not just honor. You can't have honor just like that. You have to do something honorable. Where does that come from? Giving a shit. And now I step up, and now I go do something. And then next thing you know, okay, you might be honorable. But that's not why I did it. You know, it's like Lonnie we were talking about earlier on the rooftop. He wasn't fighting his ass off because he wanted to be titled as courageous. He fought his ass off because he had no other choice. And so he had to be vulnerable, and he gave a shit so much. He cared so much. You hear an honorable story at the end, right? But he would never admit that. He would never say, oh yeah, I'm honorable. None of us would do that.
Yeah.
I would say, oh, I give a shit. I would say I'm compassionate.
Yeah, that's easy to determine if you give a shit or not, for sure.
And then, but when you go in the Marine Corps and you start talking about, hey guys, today we're going to talk about compassion. Like, fuck you, you know?
I'm sure somebody's going to say that for sure.
Yeah, but you can't say that because otherwise I would immediately question that Marine in my team or that soldier, that airman, or that sailor, that law enforcement officer and say, why did you join? Yeah. Let's go back to the root. So I would say, if anything else, if you're a platoon sergeant, team leader, platoon commander, executive officer, any staff, you should know why every single one of your men joined, because there's a why in there somewhere. Yeah. And if you know that why, and it's not a good one, you can cultivate that why with your culture. Now you enter culture, eat strategy for breakfast. And then once we get that culture stabilized, guess what happens? Now we bring in our systems. Now we bring in our TTPs. Now we bring in our policies. And I think which the Marine Corps does well, right? There's a reason why everybody's talking about us right now, because we are the heartbeat of the entire world when it comes to being warriors. We are the greatest warrior culture on the face of the planet, right? The Spartan had 300, and then they had the 10,000 that came in. We have 225,000 U.S. Marines in this world. Yeah. That's a dangerous...
Active Marines, anyway.
Active. Yeah, well, yeah. That's including reserves.
And reserves, yeah. Because there's probably about 185,000 active or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, and that's not even including like all the Marines that served in the past that are just vets now.
Yeah, and there's going to be tons tonight, right? Yeah. There's going to be like 700 vets here tonight this ball. This is the first time I think this has ever happened. Yeah. So, and again, they're all those guys and gals that are going to be there tonight, they've been living that principle. They've been starting their families, their businesses, and they're still giving back to their communities, and that's why they're here. Otherwise, it wouldn't be, you know? Yeah. And some of these guys we got a guys, was it Sergeant Ferguson coming tonight, the 101-year-old Marine? Did you get a chance to talk to him? I'm
supposed to talk to him when we get out there today, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like that guy's still doing it every day.
A Korean War vet, right? Or yeah. I'd love to talk to him. I think he's Korean. Yeah. Or maybe he's actually no. There's a World War II veteran coming and a Korean War veteran coming.
That's right.
I might have mixed
the Korean guy can't make it.
Yeah, that's right.
But the 101-year-old guy, he's getting out of his wheelchair and walking up and cutting the cake on his own. He refuses. That's right. He's refusing to sit. 101 years old.
That's culture.
Who does that, man?
That's culture,
right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking forward to meeting him. That's gonna be freaking cool, man.
And the culture's, just to recap, that is nothing more than influence. We have been really good at influencing our Marines, whether it's through this weird, fraternity of crazy, psychopathic, compassionate men and women. But it works. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it does. And I love it.
It does. I think it does work. And there's a reason why that culture has, maintained its, framework. It's changed a little bit with the culture, with like the times and technology, but for the most part, that culture has kind of like maintained its consistency throughout the years.
Well, Vietnam Marines, Korea Marines, World War II Marines, World War I Marines, and so on back all the way to the Bahamas. Were any of those cultures similar in any way? If you really think about it.
At the time, probably not. Probably because it was a very different time.
Very, just like right now, it's a different time.
Yep.
You know, so we can't say, oh, all of a sudden the Marine Corps shit. It's like, no, I'm sure guys in Korea are like, hey, you Vietnam guys are a bunch of pussies. All right. And the Vietnam guys are like, hey, you fucking Gulf War guys are a bunch of pussies. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, you can't say that.
I'm sure. Yeah.
A bullet's a bullet, man.
Yeah.
You know? Blood's blood.
Yeah.
Sacrifice is sacrifice. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I still have a lot of faith in like the younger generations that are interested in serving the country in the Marine Corps and every other branch, you know, because like if they're motivated to be there, they're motivated to be there, you know, and they're willing and able and ready to face whatever they're going to be facing in the future, regardless of how technology's changed and regardless of like what the policy of the United States is at that time, because it's going to change from leadership to leadership, like leader to leader. But I still think that the country's in good hands with this new generation. And I think they're willing to, I think they're willing to step up to the plate just the same way that every other generation stepped up to the plate when they were needed, because they're going to be put in positions where they don't have a choice and they have to.
That's right.
It's like you're talking about on the roof. You don't have a choice. That's it.
Strength is your
You better figure it out. Yeah, you figure it. You have to find a way, and that's it. And I think that they will be capable of finding a way.
Thomas Paine said, when there's trouble, let it be now my time, so in the future my children will be safe. Well, have our children ever been safe? So no. I mean, if they were supposed to be, did I screw up? Did you screw up? Why are we fighting? Did our dads screw up? Did our grandfather, in the history we talked about earlier, did they screw up? No. I think he meant every generation has to step up when there's trouble. And there's always evil. There's always trouble, right? Yep. So get rid of the guns and the evil goes away. It doesn't. So that's why you have to have the balance of opposites, the yin and yang, right? The duality of man, right? The war and the peace. Private Joker, that guy that's the world. That's the story right there. Laugh and kill. And so I believe, like we said earlier, or you said earlier, talking about the social influence and the power over people with all this misinformation and disinformation and AI, we're starting to go, what is actually real? Like I watched some videos this morning over and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. And it's like, it's getting so real. I'm like, oh, that's AI. Okay, that can't be, there's no way that's real.
Yeah.
And eventually, and I'm even noticing it just talking to my kids, they're getting fed up with it to a point where like eventually when you can't tell what's real, guess what people will start doing? This.
Talking.
They'll be like, dude, that shit's fake.
Yeah,
but
all
you
that's
aren't.
crap. Yeah.
I'm not, so let's have a conversation. And I think that's what I'm really hopeful for right now.
That's what I hope happens too. And honestly, like I think the whole 2020 pandemic era kind of stunted some people's growth, but I think that we're gonna get back to it eventually, because like there are certain things that are tried and true, and talking to somebody face to face is always going to be more impactful than talking to somebody through a computer screen or communicating through texts or communicating through a video message that you don't know whether it was AI or not, And so I think more people are going to come together and they're going to have to find a way.
You don't have a choice, man.
You don't have a choice. That's it.
America's our boat, and we only got one.
Yeah, and if there's holes in it, you better start bailing it out and find a way to seal the hole up. That's it. It's there's no other way about it, So, but let me ask you this: when did you actually found Haley Strategic and Haley Strategic Partners after Magpul? Because you left Magpul.
It was a month later. It was
a month later.
Yeah, January of. Yeah, I was already ready to. I mean, I move quickly. I don't waste a lot of time with shit.
I feel the same way.
Yeah, what's the point, right? If you get it done.
Drive forward pretty quick. Yeah.
Because I already know what it is and what it takes to make a business. Now I'm building this big, almost $100 million company and going. And so that was an amazing growth spurt for not just me, but all of us. But now I can take that information later and go, okay, well, these systems work great, but I can't afford them yet as a new entrepreneur, right? I can't just step out of a big company, big salary and go, oh, how hard can it be?
Yeah.
It's extremely hard, like you said earlier. But I didn't maybe have the ability to pay for that specific software, but I'm also good at improvising and overcoming and adapting until eventually I get to that point where, because I went back by myself. I bought a little house in Montrose, Colorado, had a little 2,000 square foot workshop out back, moved my CNC machines, all my sewing machines in there, built a big gun vault, had my racks in there for t-shirts and patches and swag, and went back. I mean, I'm coming out of this freaking crazy ass high speed life, moving back into a tin shed.
But you had a lot of experience at that point.
Yeah, so I'm already training now. The brand's there, right? It's easy for me to get out and train and dive right back into product development. And I started sewing because I never did any really soft good stuff besides the slings at Magpul, and I really enjoy the textiles world because it's a very difficult space to find solutions.
Yeah,
and because it's so saturated, right? You got
super
everything
saturated.
From the surplus stores out there. Everybody thinks, oh, that'll work. To like, no, it's like, dude, you don't skimp on your weapon systems and your optics. At least you shouldn't. So don't skimp on your load bearing equipment.
Yeah.
Or your armor. It's like we're still wearing 10, 15 pound plate carriers. And dude, I've been running plates that are less than 2 pounds for the last 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, why is not everybody getting that? Oh, it's too expensive. Oh, so you're putting a price on human's life with body armor. Yeah, let's see how that works. So eventually we're going to get it. So we just try to get into it first and influence people to eventually get that way. So yeah, it's been an amazing ride, especially with helping, the military. We've done really well with the contract world, rocket packs and JTAC stuff for the Air Force, Navy, and Marines. Yeah. And they're all quick solutions, and they're we don't play the typical procurement game. I don't wait for a military solicitation. If I believe that something should be built, just like that Goose Pack for the Marine Corps, I will build it, and we did within 30 days. And it's like, well, hey, we don't have a budget for this. I said, don't worry about that to the gunners. I'm like, yeah, some of you guys do. Who's your next MEU going out? What's your budget? $52 million. Okay, can you buy a couple packs to go test? Yeah, absolutely. I want this thing. Okay, well, wait till your budget for the MEU comes around. Then impact cards, people start buying little packs here and there. Next thing you know, First Marine Division is like, what are you guys doing? Hey, this is the pack we want. Well, stop. We'll buy that for you. And next thing you know, Marcor Syscoms, hey, what the fuck are you guys doing, First Marine Division? I probably shouldn't be saying this, but and they're like, hey, stop. Like, this is the pack we want. Because the other solution was like $4,800.
Probably a lot more expensive.
It was welded metal frames. And I'm like, dude, I'm already heavy enough. That's BS. So we made this very lightweight missile foam, injection molded system, super lightweight materials that you can carry 4 rockets in, and did it that fast. Then we built all the thermal cases and everything else in the X slings. So now you can wear the Goose, because you get a $1.8 billion contract for the Carl Gustav to the Marine Corps. Finally, since World War II, we've been using the Army's been using the Goose. And it's like, all right, yeah, we got the baddest freaking rocket system in the world with all this new ordnance and everything else. Yep. And let me guess, no SL3 equipment to carry it.
No SL3 equipment, yeah.
So you got Marines with this badass Goose on their shoulder, but then they're still 550 cording the plastic tubes to their sides and cutting their necks up. And then it's like, what are we doing here, guys? So now I got to wait for another solicitation to come around to help the Marines. I don't believe in that. I just help the Marines. Next thing you know, Marcor Syscom's like, hey, this is now a program of record. Here's your NSNs. So let's go ahead and get this in there.
Here's your NSNs,
But if you want to sit around and wait for a solicitation and bid with other companies, which we do, we still do that kind of stuff too, because sometimes it's just necessary and you have to do it that way. But if a Marine needs something, I will make it. If a sailor, an airman, or soldier needs something, that's why I built this high-speed research and development center in Arizona, so we could do that in a heartbeat. And they're like, you're willing to do this for like 5 of our guys? Like, well, yeah. Well, how can you do this and still run hundreds of thousands of square foot of manufacturing space? Like, because I can, because I will. And that's, again, me taking care of the individual operator, not looking for the big take. You know? And by doing that, I've actually grown my business more organically from the inside out versus the outside in. And I can't believe how big it's grown by
you guys are crushing it,
by
man.
doing it from the heart, man. And it's never bullshit, because I couldn't stand myself, because I got to that point when you're fucking on that fast train, you're hauling ass, and you see 7-figure purchase orders every single day. You're like, oh my God, we made it, boys. We can buy Lambos and helicopters now. Yes, I've lived that life, and I feel like a piece of shit when I live that life. Not to say it's bad. I mean, everybody loves money, right? It does make some problems go away, but I'll tell you, it doesn't make all the other ones go away. Yeah. It sometimes gets worse. So I love going home at night knowing that I helped somebody that day, even if it was one person in my showroom, just going out there to say hi to them and talk to their kids, and or being on the road training. I'm still doing probably 70+% of the training courses, and we do about 45 to 50 training courses a year. And I've got a phenomenal team. I can trust them. But I still got to be out there on the road, because that's where I find the ideas. That's where I talk to people and touch and feel and share and influence and inspire and empower. Yeah. And that goes in reverse to me as well. So they're feeding me just as much as I'm feeding them. And then all of a sudden I walk back in R&D and I'm like, guys, I got ideas. And it's just like an endless list of ideas versus just sitting in a cubicle designing parts all day because somebody told me on on an email. It's like
that's the cool thing that you get to do, because like most of the time when like officers, once they get to a certain rank, they just do staff work in the office. They're never going back out there with the boys in the field doing the stuff that they started off the company or started off doing in the first place.
Yeah.
And you get to kind of like go back and forth between the two as an entrepreneur and a owner of a business, or 7 businesses, you said, or 8 businesses?
I'm up to 9 now.
9. So like you can kind of float back and forth between each one, so you can kind of stay in tune or stay tuned into what's going on.
Again, I could blame it on, I'm a jack of all trades because of my old career. It's like, no, I'm ADHD as hell. I can't stand getting bored.
Yeah.
But no, I love 3 things. Going back to the business world. So it's like, I love training, right? I love sharing information with people, especially because it's a coping mechanism for me and my team, because we fucked up, man. We've done things that we shouldn't have. We had bad combat situations. I got cops on my team. It's like, man, I wish I never did that. And we share all those experiences. And then I love the product development side, obviously. And then I love the marketing side of it. You know, I storyboard all the films with my team.
Yeah.
We script everything out. We have a good time. Sometimes we'll just go on location. Like when you see some of our videos pop out that are really in depth, like an actual storyline, they're most of the time filmed in less than 2 to 3 days, which looks like a full, almost some of these are full-length feature films.
Yeah.
And we'll still get all that action in just a couple of days. Because it's fast, it's quick, it's easy. I don't need to spend $60,000 on a film like a lot of these companies are charging, guys to do. And, because you do all the animation and the cool stuff, and you spend $100,000 for a commercial for your gun, like, some of the big gun companies. How much do you actually sit and watch those? People watch us on our phones and on the shitter more so, or like this morning watching the video of me on the LAV. That is already becoming a viral video. Why? Because it's just a personal thing. I'm sharing with you. Hey, we're proud to be here, and I want to share this with you, because if you can't be here, then I want to give you that opportunity.
Yeah.
So I love those 3 things. Even though there's 8,000 things to do in the business, my original objective was take it all on, man. S1, S2, S3, S4, all the way up. And I still S shop my companies. So Marines go, well, I don't know what to do when I get out. Just build your S shops, bro. You already know how it works.
Yeah. It
works, right? Now, there's a lot more to them than just in the Marine Corps because of the product development, QC, shipping, receiving, but there's an S4 in there. I have a special S5, and then S6 is comms, communication, marketing, market analysis, communication, sharing stories. And so when I say, hey, man, go up to S1, that means you can go up and talk to the CFO, you can talk to the admin, finance team, legal, and S2 is more market analysis and intelligence gathering.
That's so funny that you broke
so
it out like that.
I didn't know anything about business when I started, but I knew about structure, and the Marine Corps did give me that. And so now, of course, it's in a very extreme structure in the size of the companies that I have.
Sure.
But still people are like, hey, what's going on in the 3 shop? It's like,
that's so
and they're civilians,
so
man.
funny,
They're people that have never been in the military, but they go, that's easy, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that we could take out of our careers and put back into this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, dude, you've taken your career and your experience in the military and built a massive, conglomerate of businesses that have been very wildly successful. And if it didn't work, you wouldn't be where you're at now. So obviously you're doing something right.
In the military, just for everybody out there, man, I know there's a lot of stress with getting out, or should I stay in, or what am I going to do? What's my purpose? Just don't forget the military, especially if you're a Marine, and you get this if you're a Marine, it'll always be the biggest part of your life.
Yeah.
It'll always be the biggest part of your life. Even the guy that was the total shitbag, probably went to the brig, will be like, that was still pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's left a mark on you for sure.
Yeah. But it's only a chapter of your life.
Yeah.
So don't think that you're never going to have a purpose again, because if you're 0 to 20, right, that's your first life, as how I call it. It's you're building yourself, your image, your high school and all the weird stuff, and figuring out how things work, and then you get into your college days or military days, and you got your next 20 years until you're 40. Okay, that's where you're establishing yourself, building family, settling down, maybe a business, and then you got 40 to 60. Well, that's a whole other chapter of your life right there. Now, what are you doing in that point in time? Like now, okay, I'm mastering business. Now I'm studying every single day. I'm in podcast. I'm in some type of online course I'm in a 2 6-month online podcast courses right now, leadership, resilience. I'm in intimacy courses online with my wife so I can build a better relationship with her. And it's like, that's showing me what true masculine is, where, you know, like, fuck, that's gay. I'm not going to do that. I'm like, no, dude, try it. It's like my relationship has gotten better instantly as soon as I started doing those things. So I'm always constantly fiending for information, because if I don't, I get stagnant and I fall apart.
You find that, like, as far as the relationship with your spouse, that you have to be very deliberate with planning things to do with each other?
Absolutely. Jordan Peterson said one time that it takes about 90 hours a month of planning to have a successful family.
90 hours a month.
Think about how many hours we plan every single day in our businesses. All day long is all you do, right? Yeah. And then you go home, you're like, hey, honey, I'm home. And then, okay, you go to the movies, you go on a date, do this, but, you know, there's maybe some talks about finances, some talks about this, but like, how much where's your S shops in your family, right? What are you teaching your kids? So when they step up and they get their own family, right, that's what they're going to mimic. That's what they're going to model off of. Yeah. And not necessarily the actual physical things that are happening, but the principles behind them. And so I try to do that with her as much as we possibly can. And it's tough, man. It's really tough.
That's been a big challenge.
And that's
for
why
me.
I do these courses, because it helps us, it forces us to deliberately, like you said, sit down and focus on ourselves. Be selfish, right? Like the book, The Men, the Mission, Then Me. Yeah. I think there needs to be another book. Me, the men, and then the mission. Yeah. One's wartime, one's peacetime. If we were more selfish with ourselves, and people are probably, what the fuck are you talking about? If you were more selfish with yourself, you studied harder, you worked harder, you built your skills, you know, go to work, go to work for 9 to 5, build your skills. But 6 to 12, you better really build your skills. Cause I can't really learn shit at work when I'm trying to do my job. Yeah. And, so when I get off work, I'm in leadership courses. I'm just not a CEO that walks in and says, hey, do this, do that. How's it going, guys? No, I've got to be an influencer until the day I die if I'm going to be in this job. So I think that's been really helpful for me, staying involved and growing constantly, because that keeps my purpose going. Yeah. And that's what do you hear the biggest thing when guys are, you know, 140,000 suicides in the GWAT war. So our death toll for GWAT's over 150,000 men and women.
That's an unfathomable number.
It's not 7 or 8, 9,000 guys or gals we lost in the war in GWAT. In the last 25 years since GWAT started, whatever that date is, we have now lost over 140,000 men and women to suicide that served in the GWAT war. Now, are all of them associated with war pains and suffering? Maybe not, you know, but how many also... The guy that crashed into a bridge embankment and took his own life looked like a car accident, but he actually committed suicide. Those numbers aren't in there. Yeah. So it could be way worse than what it is. So if you lose your purpose, get back on track, man. Yeah. Get locked fucking call me. You know, like I told guys, like after the Sean Ryan show, when people see me break down, I will absolutely be the most vulnerable person in the world to myself, because I'm trying to make myself a better version of myself, being selfish. Yeah. So when I turn around and like when you and I leave here and go out and help the world, we're at our best. Yeah. Because if you're not at your best, you can't help anybody. And so that's what I mean. Like in your peacetime, in your life, take that moment and be selfish for yourself to learn something, love something, do something, go be the warrior, go guard it, go freaking pick up a musical instrument, go, you know, go help the community, do things as the warrior should, because then when it's time to fight, man, you feel so much better about it. Yeah. Because now you got something to fight for. But if you lose your purpose, you got no fight in you. So, and that means you're not going to start a business. You know, I'm not talking about just grabbing a sword, but like, you're not going to go into the world and share your life. And that's the only reason humans are still here, is because we're the best species to adapt and to carry on our stories and our legacies. And so that's what I always want to do. Yeah. I know that, you know, just kind of going back to the purpose thing, I know a lot of people that lose their sense of purpose when they get out. They, you know, it's because they get disconnected. They don't they don't stay busy. They don't stay like doing something. You know, they get kind of stagnant because it gets easy to get institutionalized and just get used to being told what to do all the time, and your full day is structured for you and nobody. And then when you get out, it's like, now you're your own boss. Figure it out. Like, nobody's going to tell you whether to do something or whether not to do something. Like, it's up to you. And having that initiative and that intrinsic motivation to get out there and figure out what it is that you want to do that makes you feel good, you know, and part of that is
serving other people in some way, helping other people in some way, being of use to people, whether it's teaching somebody something, whether it's like learning something new yourself, whether it's supporting your family, whether it's being a good father, being a good husband. And I'm not a father yet. I don't have any kids. But as far as the reason why I asked you, like, you have to deliberately plan things with your spouse, because I have to. If I don't deliberately like plan something, I won't spend any time with my wife, because I will work myself into a grave to try to like build this stuff. So I have to be deliberate with it, and that's okay. Like, you just have to make sure that you are actioning that, and you are making that deliberate action to plan these things. Yeah. And she's like, my wife's like a freaking gem. She's obviously like, I'm extremely fortunate to have like a strong, independent, beautiful young lady that's stuck by my side through all the struggle that I've experienced, regardless of like the ups and downs, and the fact that I'm working all the time, and she like accepts me and allows me to go like be a workaholic and understands like, hey, I'm trying to build something, but it is one of those things you have to find that sort of balance and deliberately plan some of those things. And then also, I found something that I feel passionate about, that I feel purpose with, right? That doesn't mean that the way I'm doing it's the only way to do it. That doesn't mean that the way I'm doing it is the right way for other people to do it.
That's right.
There's tons of other ways that you can find purpose in your life. I think a big thing that helps is doing something that helps enhance other people's lives. And obviously, like you said, you can't do that if you don't take care of yourself first. You got to take care of your mind, your body, your spirit. Yeah. You got to take care of those things first. And that means going to the gym. Don't be fat. Take care of your body. Eat good, healthy food. Don't be eating a bunch of crap that comes out of a box. Like, eat meat, eat like clean food. If you can go hunting, go hunting. I haven't been able to do that. I want to.
Fast.
Just
try it.
Yeah, whatever you're doing, like eat whole foods, eat food that's like comes out of the ground, like whatever, But anyway, I think there's a lot of things that people can gain benefit from just from this past 5 minutes, as far as like, especially people that are transitioning out of the military that are not sure what they're going to do, like, get connected with your community, get connected with people, find people that have similar interests, go to the gym, work out, take care of yourself, cook for yourself. Don't eat fast food every day. There's a lot, and getting connected, I think, is a really big part.
Huge,
getting connected with people, talking to people like this. Community will keep people alive. Yeah. And lack thereof will end up, with worse outcomes. So
I'm literally starting a whole new training program in January of 26 of this exact thing.
Yeah.
No guns, no cool shit.
Yeah.
This stuff.
Yeah.
It's what we already do in our classes. It's actually called Warrior Zero.
Yeah.
Every warrior should know how to zero their weapon systems.
Yeah.
But how many of us have no idea how to zero ourselves?
Yeah. And
that's the first thing you gotta have. You can have the most zero gun in the world, but if your brain's not zeroed that day, you're gonna miss, right? So, and I can miss a shot if my sights are off, but if you miss when you're off, that could be devastating to yourself, to your family, to your teammates, whatever. Yeah. So we're going to dive into the thousands of years of history I've studied with ancient warriors and our forefathers, dive into what a warrior actually is, and what principles should we, immerse into and exude. And then also talk, because I'm a post-traumatic growth coach. I really dove big into that. I'm a big breath coach. I've done all the ceremonial stuff like ancient warriors would do to take care of each other. And I think if our ancients and our forefathers could look at the way we treat each other now, when you look back at their creeds and their manifestos and how they treated each other, like one thing that didn't even exist back then was anybody going up to another war and be like, oh, you got some shit going on? Yeah, suffer in silence. Nobody ever said that.
No.
How many times have you heard that in the Marine Corps? Suffer in silence. Like, fuck you. Don't tell me that. I'm hurting right now, and I need to share something with you, sir. Yeah. Or a platoon sergeant or team leader. And it's like, well, hey, suck it up, buttercup. Like, that's what you signed up for. No, I signed up to be with a community of savage, compassionate warriors and take care of each other.
Savage, compassionate warriors.
Yeah. There is such thing as a righteous psychopath.
Yeah.
There's 250 years that we're fucking dealing with right now.
I think they've proven it works.
There is evil psychopaths. It's a whole other podcast. It's a big study.
Yeah.
So because to be a human being, you have to be able to survive, right? 100 years ago. Imagine living in this country 100 years ago. Imagine 200 years ago.
Totally
300 years ago. Yeah. There was no water. There was no running water, electricity, all of the things that we have today. So you had to have this kind of killing mindset, even if you were the queen of the village, man. When it's like you were just talking about your lovely wife, and mine, Bertoni, she is my rock. She's my queen of that castle right now. I'm not there, she is, and she's the one that's holding that fort down for me. So she has to be a compassionate, savage mom to protect her little babies in the event that something happens with them,
like a mama bear.
That's exactly what moms should be, and if they're not, they should be. It's intuitive.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm super excited to start this program because that's what people don't talk about as much as they should. So if we put that warrior spin to it, and it's not a spin, it's not fake, it's real history. It's the shared experiences that we all have together. It's the understanding how to reframe things. Yeah. Like, hey, I just lost a brother of suicide. No, you didn't. What are you talking about? He just took his life. Yeah, he did. Well, what do you mean? I said, you didn't lose shit. It ain't your car keys. Yeah. Okay. You gained something, because if you don't have Ghost, you have nothing. If you have Ghost, you have everything. And because it reminds you of the mortality of life, it reminds you, memento mori, man. Eventually you may die, whether you do it to yourself, which hope to God you never do, because you end up leaving more pain behind. And a lot of people think that if I just leave, everybody else's life will get better. Well, we know that's not the case. So if somebody's out there thinking that, that is a weak, soft, not vulnerable mentality. Yeah. And so use hard words. Don't say probably, maybe I should or could. Yeah. It's like saying, I should maybe kind of think about asking you out on a date. Would you maybe like to go with me?
It's like, that's not very
She better walk the fuck away. That's not a man. Okay. So why would I say that about anything else in my life? Maybe I kind of should have maybe one day start a podcast or a business or a family. Like, good luck. Because those are soft words, man. It's like
Yoda says, no, there is no try, only do.
That's a hard word, right? Try is soft, hard is do. Yeah. So words have meaning. And, abracadabra, it's not magic. It's Aramaic. Translation means with my words I create. With our words, we're creating something right now.
That's Aramaic?
It's Aramaic. The etymology is Aramaic.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, and it also, it's got a bunch of different translations in there, but that's the biggest one. And so I wake up thinking, well, if I say something today, if you and I say something, somebody might just live by it. They might breathe by it. Yeah. When I got off of Sean's podcast, we had, I don't know how many emails and texts and phone calls where people got a hold of me and said, hey, I'm burning down and I don't know what to do. And I heard what you said about trying to live a better life. And so I'm still working with like 17 of those guys individually on the side. I will do that. If people hear something and need me, that's what I do. It's not because I'm good at it. It's because I fucked up so much of my life and said, I can't do this to myself or my family anymore. Yeah. I mean, hurting my kids, divorce, all this other stuff starts going down, business failure. And I'm like, I just can't get ahead. It's like I'm using the wrong language. I'm trapped in my breath because everything's in our breath. Like if you're talking to somebody like, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Yeah. Like, oh, fucking kill, murder, death. Like, dude, that's hate, bro. And hate don't drive out hate. Love and compassion does. So take a deep breath and let the shoulders drop. That's ancient warrior meditation. That's not hippie shit. That's not a bunch of dudes sitting around smoking pot on a cloud, crossing their legs, holding their nose and farting, clearing out their mind. That is ancient warrior rituals that they did before they went to combat, while they were in combat. Walk up to a door, open the door and go in. Your objective as a warrior is to fight the fight response. It's not to fight. It's not to go in with hate. Because if you do that, you are now in a physiological and emotional, your affect state is out of control. And so if you're out of control because you're high and tight and you're not low and slow, that's how I want to make entry into a room. Watch a good Delta or a good special operations tier 1 team make entry into a room. It's like a bunch of ballerinas with guns. And then take a bunch of PFCs and put them in a mountain town. It looks like a freaking high school football team of dudes just breaking down doors and stuff. Like there's one way to do it and there's another way. Okay. Yeah. So if we could all just breathe and use our words correctly, then you'll see I don't think people realize how big language is, and I'm unfortunately just figuring that out in the last 5 or so years of my life, working with word coaches, mind architects, and so that's a whole other division that we have of just helping people understand how to get through your suffering. And sometimes the best way to solve that problem is to realize there's not a problem in the first place. It's just pain. There's a difference, right? If I take a knife and put it in a grinder, it sharpens it, right? Well, that's what constitutes a working knife. But if I gave that knife emotions, an affect, and put it through that grinder, would it scream? Yeah, because it hurts. So what do you think the problem is with America? People are afraid to sharpen themselves because it hurts. It's just pain. And I have the saying, pain is mandatory, suffering is optional. And so you have that voice in your shoulder that's going, God, fuck, we need to quit. Why is it so cold? I shouldn't be out here. Why did I join the Marines? Why did I join the Army? Why am I doing this? Why am I in this situation? This sucks. I need to just quit. This is like, that's the sympathetic asshole on your shoulder trying to make you quit. But if you listen to the voice of pain, it's much more parasympathetic. It's much calmer. And it's saying, hey, dude, what you're going through right now is exactly what you're supposed to be going through. And what you went through is exactly what you were supposed to be going through, because what happened exactly the way it happened. And it didn't happen the other way. You know why? Because it didn't.
Yeah.
So if you listen to that guy over there, he's right. If you quit today, today will be easier.
Well, I'll tell you right now,
but tomorrow is going to be harder.
Pain is a very good motivator for you to change stuff too. Because if something's painful, it's like if you touch the hot pan and you burn the hell out of your fingers, but you won't touch the hot pan the next time, or you'll be careful and you'll check it out. Well, that's because you remember it. Pain helps you retain information, and it also, like, hey, if something's painful, people are likely to stop doing it usually, because it's like, oh, that hurts. I don't want to do that anymore. Yeah. Like,
you know what hurts? Running down 6 stories with a gunshot wound.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And you keep going. So.
Yeah, but also, again, the suffering piece, like that's optional, like you said. But pain is a good, I would say, ambassador for change.
Suffering can be changed. Suffering can be fixed.
Pain
is just mandatory. You're supposed to go through. Like, let me ask you this question really quick. Why did you join the Marine Corps? In a nutshell.
I would say probably because I wanted to do something bigger than myself.
Okay, so you believe that there's something bigger than yourself. Right?
100%.
Yeah.
I believe in God.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I happen to be a Christian.
Yeah, we know that there's a higher capacity that we can get to one day. So, but now you join the Marines. Like, why would you do that with the 1 in 400 trillion chance to become a human being? You join the Marines with a 1 that's what you did with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you give a shit, man. And you realize there's that higher capacity, and you realize that everything in your life, your marriage, your family, all the good things that happen in your life, your military career, all of those things, I would venture to say, probably happened through some of the toughest and hardest and most difficult suffering in your life.
Yeah, there's
the
been
best pathways of your life came from the hardest ways.
Well, yeah, I've actually said that many times before. I said that at Camp Pendleton. There's an event out there recently where they did a MAGTF demonstration, and one of the things they said is the most beneficial things that I've experienced in my life came from doing things that were extremely hard.
Yeah.
And everything, like nothing that I've done in my life none of the rewards that I've reaped in my life came easy. It was all from doing miserably hard stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
It took me 7 years to get into the military, number one, first off. 7 years, because I was a troublemaker, much like yourself when I was younger, and I got in a lot of trouble before I joined, and I couldn't get into the Army, couldn't get into the National Guard, and I tried relentlessly for 7 years. Well, it took 6 years, really. And then after that 6th year, I was like, all right, I'm going to try for the Marines instead. And I got into the Marines. I was in recruit training a year later. They had the waiver I needed for it.
You have a criminal record? All right, you're in.
Oh, yeah, you're cool. Yeah, come on, let's go. So it's a miracle, not only that I was able to get into the military at all, period, because it took me 6 years to even get to a point where somebody was willing to work with me that thought I could get the waiver, but it's a miracle that I was able to become an officer after that. The fact that I couldn't get in. And so that's one of the reasons why I was like, I fought so hard to be here in the first place. Like, I valued it. And granted, there's some hard stuff that happened while I've been in that changed my perspective on things. And I've never experienced combat. So the types of adversity I've faced are very different from the types of adversity that you faced when you were in or during your contractor work. But nonetheless, like, these difficult things that I faced were also sometimes the most rewarding things, because, like, joining the Marine Corps, one of the most rewarding things I've ever experienced in my life. Also, one of the hardest things I've ever done, entrepreneurship. One of the most miserable, difficult things I've ever experienced in my life. Also, some of the greatest benefits, some of the greatest relationships that I've built have been in a response and as a result of building whatever this is that I've been building. And I've met some incredible people. I've had some incredible experiences. Been to places I've never thought possible going to. Made friends with people that I would never have imagined in a million years. Why would these people that are like up here be friends with me? I'm a nobody. I still feel like that when I wake up every morning, usually. Still feel like, I don't know how the hell any of this is possible.
It's easy to get imposter syndrome in this world.
Oh, for sure.
Everybody has it. Everybody has imposter syndrome.
For sure.
Like, I mean, I'm going to be doing a big speech tonight. I just did one the other night, and I'll be honest, dude, I was standing there before we walked down when they called us to attention for me, the battalion commander, to go out. And I was like, he's like, you doing all right? I'm like, dude, I've never been scared in my life. I'm fearless. I mean, and this scares the shit out of me. And he's like, that's what happens when you talk to your own. And it's because you got 800 Recon Marines sitting in there, you know, or the unit, and then you had the Recondos.
Yeah.
And man, that was, and I loved that feeling because it makes you realize there's a higher capacity. I need to step up right now.
Yeah.
And adversity does nothing more than introduce you to yourself.
Yeah.
That's why we like the hard challenges. So if you're out there and you're stuck, get unstuck by taking on some type of challenge. And especially for guys that get out, like just to go back on the one point of we get tons of people that say, I don't know what to do with my life. Now I'm out of the Marines and I want to just be like you. And I'm like, well, you should have stayed in the Marines, got more schools, you know? So if you're a young guy and you're out there, don't think 4 years is going to be it, right? What happens when you re-enlist? Shit gets better.
Yeah.
Supposed to. Anyways, right? Because you're starting to get with the system. You can't go into a professional sports organization for 4 years and say you've mastered it. You have to stick with it as long as you can.
Yeah.
Just like business. Imagine if I quit my 4th year of business, like, all right, I'm done. Like, no, if you want to make it something last, make it last and take advantage of every school, take advantage of the security you get in the military, the learning, the leadership schools. That's what I wish I could have gone back and done more of. Yeah. Public speaking schools, things like that, because it would fit me better today. And so of course, as soon as I got out, it's the first thing I did. But, you know, don't sit there and think that your purpose is done. And I think Mike Rowe said it best from Dirty Jobs.
Yeah, I love Mike Rowe.
Phenomenal guy.
Yeah.
Mike said that, he said, look, we got to stop teaching our kids and ourselves to just chase our passion. He said, rather chase opportunities and bring your passion with you. And that really stuck with me, especially as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, shit, what does that mean? Hey, here's a little job opening over here. Oh, what's this? What the hell is the Center for Anti-Terrorism? Oh, it's just, all right, you know what? Sounds cool. I'll go do that. It's not like, well, that's not the perfect dream job for me. Sorry. And there's a lot of dudes that do that. Like, but those were like the best stair steps of my life to learn that guy's business, the government system, the business, teaching, you know, military guys again. So I still had a purpose because I could teach that stuff. And then I went to the next one. I mean, I've worked and helped so many different companies to a point where I was like, why don't I just do this myself? And that's how I started my first company. Was I'm doing this already. I'm already good at this. Why don't I just, how hard can it be? And then you figure out how hard entrepreneurship is. And that's why the S-Shops concepts come into play. Because right now I could take and make a note list of just every single step you would ever need to start a company, manage a company, and operate and grow and scale a company in one piece of paper. It's not that hard to look at the process. So if you're struggling with something, go back to your words. Take a 500-pound pen, which is why we call it that, and write out what your goal is, or write out what your problem is. Like it's very easy to reframe these things. Yeah. We had a guy in a class, one of my good friends, Mark England, who runs Enlifted Coaching, mind architect, wordsmith. He's one of the biggest guys that I get a lot of the stuff from and work with for years now. And long story, very, very short. Guy in a class, 25-year alcoholic. I think drug addict as well. A lot of problems. Our objective is to just get them to open up and speak. Hey, anybody got anything today? He finally speaks up after all this time. Yeah, I do. Yeah, what is it? I killed my mom. And you're like, whoa, fuck. Okay, hold on, man.
It's a lot heavier than I expected.
We might need a little bit more information on that because everybody in the room's like, what, dude?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, we verify that, hey, I pulled the plug.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Very different.
How did that happen?
Phrasing is important.
Just strangle her? And he's like, no, I pulled the plug. He's like, okay. So then we dive into the words and the meaning. So what we want to do is find a meaning eventually, but you have to go with the emotion first. And the emotion is strong at that point. I killed her. It's like, okay, let's come on up here, write that on the board. Take that 500-pound pen and write, I killed my mom. Write it out. Now you can see it. Okay, what if we just did this for a second? Let's ask, how does that feel? Feels like shit, right? And all the emotions come out. Okay, what if we struck out the word killed and wrote the word spared? I spared my mom. And he's like, no, I killed her. So your job is not to try to force or change somebody's emotions. You can't do that. It's nonsensical. It's like trying to change the position of the sun. You can't do it.
Yeah.
So like So you can't change anybody's emotions, right? It's like, it's nonsensical. It's physics. It's like trying to change the position of the sun.
Yeah.
So you don't want to change that emotion. You want to, okay, let's put the word killed back in there since it's so strong in your mind right now, but let's add to this sentence. Let's just keep working with the words. I killed my mom's, apostrophe S, pain. And that hit him. That's when he broke. And you could tell when somebody positively breaks down and just starts crying and bawling, and you strike a catalyst moment in their life. And he's like, okay, why didn't the rest of you, who's your sibling? You got any siblings? Yeah, I got a brother, but he's a piece of shit, and he wouldn't be the one to do it. So it was all on me. Okay. So let's give this some meaning after you talk and you work through it. Now you have this emotion. Now you feel a little bit better, but it still hurts. But why? What's because? So write the word because after that. I killed my mom's pain because she trusted me to. How's that feel? Different emotion. And then you keep working with it until they go, I killed my mom's pain. And now you put breath work into it. That's key, man. So if I just read something that's a horrible traumatic story, it's really hard, and I start getting emotional, I get high and tight, and I trap my emotions in my chest, and I can't breathe, and then next you know, you write all that, you read it out, and then you do the next step. And I've got podcasts on this too if people are interested, but the next step, you read it 30% slower. That's it. Watch the difference that makes. Last step, read it 30% slower and breathe after every sentence. So I killed my mom's pain because she trusted me to. That dude immediately quit drinking, quit doing drugs, completely different human being. And that's how simple some of these processes and programs are for us. So it's not just about traumatic events. It's like, I want to start a business. You know, instead of going, I shoulda, coulda, woulda, gotta, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, write out your story, 4-step it. Next thing you know, you're in action. Yeah. So language is extremely powerful. So that's kind of a big chapter in my life that I'm diving into to try to help people now with the company and helping with working with Mark and his team and Enlifted coaching. Just totally stoked about it, man. Because we're seeing it. If I teach you to shoot a gun, it might change your life. It might make you think differently about how you think. Because I always say thinkers before shooters. That's our model. But if we can change the heart, change the soul, hard words versus soft words, 4-stepping, breath work, ancient warrior principles, because they're still the same principles we need to have now, just like they did then, which creates that community. It creates that comfort versus confidence, because confidence breeds ego. It still has ego to it. I'm confident. I can do it. Send me. It's like, you don't have to tell me. You don't even have to fucking ask me, bro. I'm already there. I'm already going out the door when you say, hey, we need somebody to go. Because I'm comfortable, because I've put myself in every situation I can possibly put myself into. I've trained myself. I'm not a jack of all trades, master of none. I'm a jack of all trades and master of every single thing that I dive into. And people are like, well, that's impossible. Yeah, try jumping out of an airplane at 30,000 feet in pure oxygen in the middle of the night into a dark LZ you've never been to before. You can't half-ass that, okay? If you want to be extraordinary, well, then you have to realize that most people will never be extraordinary. Not because you don't have the capacity for it, but rather you're satisfied to live in this comfortable rut of homeostasis and never do the work that's required to get out of it. And you simply live in a world that's good enough. You want to know why the Marine Corps makes you make your rack the way they do? Not because they just care about you being miserable, making your rack over and over and over. Well, like Admiral McRaven said it best, I think, and I've always been doing this with my kids. It's the first accomplishment of the day. And
I remember hearing that.
And like the commandant said, hey, if I tell you to do a machine gun heading azimuth at 273 degrees, I didn't say 274. I said 273. You know, I didn't say a quarter of an inch, do whatever you want. I said an eighth of an inch, like he just said on that video. And I was like, that's fucking awesome, because that's why it's so important. You know, think about how those little tiny details that we do so well in the Marine Corps will apply to you on a weapon system, will apply to you. I know my entire max point blank, my max point ordinate of my bullet all the way out to its end capability. If I'm running an M4, I know exactly what that thing is, and my holdover's at 800 meters. I know exactly how many 193 inches of drop it has at 800. Well, why is that important? Because I can kill people now. Way better than I ever could before.
Or like if you're doing a needle, like a needle T on a dude, you need to know exactly which interstitial space to be stabbing that thing
what
into.
18 Delta medic or any corpsman would say, that's good enough.
Yeah,
I don't want them working on me. So like, just don't say that. So that goes back to the words. It goes back to meaning. So if you're struggling with something in your life, just write it out and give it a meaning. Because why?
Yeah.
I want to start a business. How does that feel? It feels exciting. Why? What's the meaning behind it? You're going to find another sentence, because I want to help people. There you go. Now you have a mission. You told me, you showed me this product idea. That's a business model in itself right now. Now you just got to figure out your S shops, right? And then you got to give it meaning. Boom, because I know it's going to help people. And that's the easiest model in the world, especially for us to do, especially if you've already been in a life of service, just keep doing it. If that makes you feel good, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody gets out and does it, but that's what I do. I love it.
Well, I mean, honestly, dude, you've been crushing it for a long time. And like, how old did you say you were?
I turned
50.
Why do you make me? I turned 50 in next May. So I'm 49.
You've aged very well.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now.
Keep yourself busy.
There's very few guys I know that are around their 50s that look as young as you do.
Well, you already said it.
I would say you look like you're 42.
Thank you.
That's how I thought you were in your like
get
mid
this gray shit
40s.
to stop.
Well, look at my hair, for Christ's sake, dude. I got just as much gray hair as you do, and I'm not even in my 40s yet. That's how stressed I am all the time. So
just get you in some of the breathwork classes, man.
yeah. Well, what I need to get into is a sauna. That's what I'm going to be.
Yeah.
I'll be in a good spot if I'm there.
You already said it earlier, right? Take care of yourself, eat healthy. PT, you need to figure that out.
PT, have to.
Good PT. I don't go and jack steel every day anymore. I still go to the gym, but it's more functional fitness. It's more, I'm out running,
HIIT workout
climbing.
stuff.
I'm still skydiving. I'm still rock climbing. I'm still mountain biking. I'm still as many things as I can get into as frequently as I can. I don't get to do it as much as I want. Yeah. And that's one of my new things this month is as soon as I get back from this big road show, I'm going back into me. I'm going to take care of myself because I've been
self-recovery mode.
You know what it's like working 17, 24 hours a day. I mean, I've had 2 hours of sleep in the last 3 days.
I
love it, man.
Yeah. You know, but it is nice to get back to recovery mode. Yeah. And it's like, okay, I'm going to go to the sauna for at least 25 minutes. I'm going to work out. I'm going to do some cardio. I'm going to eat some healthy whole foods. I'm going to get a lot of sleep.
I tell people, the quickest, easiest way to do it is 30, 30, and 30. Within 30 minutes of me waking up, I cold plunge. Okay. Now, it doesn't work for everybody, so you got to be careful with your metabolic rate and the things that you might have be going on, but it does help me dramatically because I have a great fear of cold water because I had a bad cold water diving accident one time.
Oh, man.
And so I got over that fear, and now I'm like, that's my rehabilitation every day, and it helps me in, of course, releasing brown fat and all that other stuff in your liver, and it's great. Sauna. And then I try to do at least 30 minutes. I eat 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking up with the plunge.
Yeah,
and then I do 30 minutes of some type of run, cardio at about 130 heart rate. So that's 30, 30, and 30, right? So it's really only 30 minutes of staging and then working out.
Yeah.
If you got an hour in the morning, do it. And if people say, well, I don't have an hour in the morning, then what do you think is going to happen in a year from now when you didn't have that hour, when you didn't have it 2 years, 5 years later, 10 years later, and then you're 50 going, how the fuck do you guys keep doing this? It's like, because I keep running and gunning, man.
That just means you need to go to bed earlier and get up earlier. If you don't have the time for it.
That's my worst. That's what shocks me is that I don't look like a 95-year-old man because I'm a night owl, dude. So I'll go all night and then I go, well, daytime's up, so I might as well just keep going. And I'm like, all right, that's dumb. I got to stop doing that shit. So rest is my next thing. That's, I think, the check in the box I can't check as much as I'd like to, but that's my
I have to work on it as well. So, you work a lot more than I probably do. You have a lot more that you're managing than I do, but still, I definitely have to focus on sleeping more. I think if I can get like 7.5 hours, I'm probably good. Like,
grind, dude. There. Grind it. I mean, if you got the time, you got the energy. I'm starting to feel it. I'm not going to lie, man.
Yeah.
Can I sprint as fast as I did 5-10 years ago? No, hell no. But I shoot faster. I think faster. I'm faster in my mechanics because I focus on those things for my job.
Yeah.
But if you're at that stage and you're trying to build a business and a family, like grind. And it sounds like you got a rock and a queen at home that's supporting you because she probably knows what that's going to give her and your kids one day down the line. And I'm getting to that point where I'm actually seeing the fruits and going, man, my kids are growing into awesome freaking human beings that are going to help the world in some capacity. I don't care if they go in the military, but I just want them to contribute to society in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And I think that we've all done a good job doing that with the kids. And now it's time. Now I'm actually starting to slow down. Not in business necessarily, because I've mastered efficiency in a lot of those spaces. So I don't have to be the CEO every day. I've got phenomenal operations officers. My entire executive staff is incredible. I can walk away for a month and come back and not even check in. And it's just clean and running. So now I can take more time for myself and my kids, especially as they're all graduating high school, joining the military. And, Hayden came up here with me. So I'm like, I want to be with my kids, man. I want to be with my grandkids. And because I know I've worked my ass off. And now that I've mastered efficiency, I can do the same amount of work, but with less hassle. And I have a massive team of people that can pick up the slack if I need to, so I don't have to do the everyday meaningless shit. You know? Yeah. So eventually it gets way better, but that's because I grinded for so long. Yeah. And I'm not going to say just no, take it easy and enjoy your life. That's just not how America works, bro. If you want to be successful, I think you gotta really put a lot of deliberate practice into your art and your craft. Yeah. And then one day you'll see that. You'll see what it does.
Yeah, I think that's what my experience has been as well. And that's what I've seen from other people. Like, you know, the most successful people I know have been grinding for like 10 years straight, you know, or more. And that doesn't mean that I can't like make sure I'm doing self-care, like getting enough sleep, eating right, working out, sauna. That just means that I will spend less time on vacation, which is fine. I don't need to go on vacation. I'll work like 15, 16, 17 hours a day, every day, as long as I'm getting enough food, I'm getting enough sleep, I'm getting to spend some time with my family, and, you know, take care of those. Like, go to the gym. Gym's a non-negotiable for me too. But yeah, the grind, just keep on working.
What's your wife's name?
Riley.
Okay. Yeah. He didn't mean that. He means like he doesn't want to take vacations for himself.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
He's going to take you on vacations, but which is important, man.
That's what I meant.
That's important.
Yeah. It is. But anyway, so sorry. Let's end it on that. I appreciate it again, man. Thanks for coming out here. I'm glad that we were able to sit down and finally like talk for a good bit of time. This has been nice because I mean we had a limited amount of time the last time that we met up in Arizona. So
and
I'm
Vegas,
glad.
Yeah, in Vegas the time before that.
Yeah, in Vegas the time before that, exactly. So yeah, I'm glad we were able to sit down. I mean, hell, we were supposed to end this an hour ago, but I'm glad that we went an hour over so that way we could have a little extra time, which made up for the loss on the front end. So we've talked about all kinds of different stuff. I mean, from time in your military time in your service and your contractor time. Mental health stuff. It's been a wide variety of topics, and I am 100% certain that somebody out there will find something of value to take away from this one. So
that's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's it, man. So I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you taking the time to come sit here and talk with me for a little bit. And I'm looking forward to going to the Marine Corps Ball this evening and celebrate the 250th anniversary of the Marine Corps, greatest fighting force that the world has ever seen.
That's right.
So
happy birthday, man.
Happy birthday, brother.